get you, Barbara.
When there's no more room in hell.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday to you all. Hope everybody's doing well out there. We are here once again with some more big breaking news that just came over the wire just a couple of days ago. Something we've been talking about for a while, something a lot of people have asked about for quite some time, and may have some answers soon. Or do we? We'll find out. We'll see. Yeah, hope everybody's doing well out there. You have a busy weekend. See quite a few of you guys in the chat already. I know this is a big. I hope I'm coming in okay for one thing. Trying to work out some kinks with this microphone, but you know how it is. Let's see what in the chat are. Get into the big news. I want to touch on a couple of other things too. Before we after or before we talk about the big breaking news, but let's see, we got Synth in the house. What's up, Synth? Hope you're doing well, my man. Hope you're good out west. Let's see here. We got Bonnie Baby in the house. What's up, Bonnie? How are you? Always good to see you. What is that? You and your profile picture there? Is that Bonnie Bailey there? Are you? Good to see you. We got PC's Midnight Movies. How are you, sir? How are you? I'm doing very well. Doing not looking forward to going back to work in the morning, but you know, we did get some good news over the weekend. Some good news personally over the weekend, or you know, bad news. But yeah, I'll talk about that a little later. But it's just pretty funny. We got the liquid coolers in the house. What's liquid cooler? Badass name. Good to see you. We got Robert's in the house. 990 Robert, hello all. Excited for the Day of the Dead 4K. Didn't think the original elements would be found this soon. Yeah, it's kind of like one of those things. It's kind of like it's kind of the similar situation to what happened with the Martin long lost 16mm print. It's like people were talking about it, wondering where it was for all these years, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, here it is. Or so we think. There's a bit of a controversy about whether or not the actual original camera negative actually has been found or not. So we'll dig into it. We'll find out, but we'll see. Good to see you, Robert. We got Uncle Ron is in the house. What's up, Uncle Ron? Didn't even know the negative was lost. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of been one of the biggest talkers. That's why we haven't gotten a Day of the Dead 4K up to this point. I mean, the Screen Factory did the Blu-ray. God, what was it, 2013? So 12 years ago now. And typically with something like, Scream Factory, they're gonna reissue shit in 4K as often as they can, especially a title like Day of the Dead. If they could have, or at this point they would, basically. But the whole reason that they haven't is that the original elements have just kind of been lost and nobody's really known where they are until now. So, good to see you, Uncle Ron. I'm gonna call you Unc. We got Stukas. What's up, my man? Or Grant, as God has your goddamn name. What's up, man? Good to see you. We got John Vulo in the house, and yeah, John did mention that he had heard some rumblings about the original elements being found. So kudos to you on that one. And your Unearthing the Undead is actually wrapping up next weekend. I saw you've unearthed all of the undead that you care to unearth. At this point, you're retiring from the unearthing business, but I know you're going to be working on other things and finding out more information on a whole sort of other things. So, looking forward to that. The whole Unearthing the Undead thing has been really cool to follow on Facebook and find out who all these people were and get all their stories. I mean, it's pretty cool. So I appreciate you wholeheartedly for doing all that, man. It's been really cool. We got Brad is in the house. Mr. 1911 Guitar Dude is in here. What's going on, man? This is hey everyone, exciting news about getting restored to 4K. Like intro music, thank you very much. Well, I didn't thank you very much. I didn't compose it, but I did pick it, so thank you. But yeah, they getting 4K finally. And I mean, obviously I mean, we'll get into it, but I'm pretty much most people kind of know at this point that it was Scream Factory that has unearthed it and released the statement the other day that it's been found and a 4K is coming soon and all that. Um, so I mean, I'm guessing it's going to be Scream Factory, but what will happen with that print in other markets? That's going to be interesting to see. So, but good to see you, my man. Hope you're doing well. Liquid Cooler says if they only added another hour to the original Day of the Dead and showed the desolation of the city and Sarah and Miguel fighting the horde instead of running back to the chop, yeah, that would be. That's kind of what the original screenplay was. It had some of that stuff. There's actually some action sequences in the desolate city at the beginning. And believe me, when I first saw Day of the Dead, when I was a teenager, like that's what I was hoping for. Like when I saw that opening, I was just like, "Oh man, it's gonna be fucking epic!" Like they got a whole city to play with here instead of just a shopping mall. And no, it didn't turn out that way, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you want to look at it. Because maybe we ended up seeing the better film, um, even though it wasn't the grand action piece that something like Dawn was. We got Michelle Parsons. What's going on, Michelle? Hope you're doing all right. Good to see you. Thank you for stopping by. Um, there you go. Liquid Cooler, speaking the truth, speaking the gospel. We got Paul Brooks in the house. What's up, Paul? Says good evening, folks. Howdy, Mike. Howdy, long time chat. Yeah, man. Good to see you back in here, man. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, little Synth Avenue thing. There you go. Synth Ave thing. Uh, I wish Rubenstein would lighten up if we could get the OG trilogy in a box set of Criterion. Yeah, it's kind of that's the tough thing about Romero's films is that they're all kind of owned by different people. Like Rubenstein doesn't own Day of the Dead at this point. He has nothing to do with Day of the Dead at this point. It's Taurus Entertainment. There's something else now, I think. It's the Doodlesons, I think, the people that are in charge. I don't fucking know. It's Taurus Entertainment. Um, but yeah, so they're the ones to blame for like all the Creepshow 3 and Day of the Dead Bloodlines and Day of the Dead Contagion and the Day of the Dead TV show and anything that has to do with Creepshow, Night Riders, Day of the Dead. That's all owned by them at this point, I think. Anyway, I don't know if but yeah, Rubenstein owns Dawn, and of course, Night, Image 10. Like they're all owned by different entities, so it's hard to actually come together on an agreement like that unless it's like something overseas. Okay, so not Synth Avenue, but Synth Wave. That makes more sense. Steve, what's going on, man? Steven Oostrack Jr. What's going on, brother? Howdy, campers. Let's see. Appreciate it. Yeah, I dug that little song there. How do you guys like the setup here? I tested this the other night when I did. I just randomly decided to come on a like Wednesday night because I was going to fill out my ballot for the Fangoria Chainsaw Awards because our buddy Brandon Salisbury's documentary George A. Romero's Resident Evil is nominated for Best Documentary, and I wanted to go show my support and hopefully encourage some of you guys. The voting I think is still going on until midnight tonight, if I'm not mistaken. So if you haven't done it, go to fangoria.com/vote /vote or / whatever the fucking slash is, and go give Brandon a vote, man. He deserves it. He for Best Documentary. It would just be cool. It would just be something cool. To say like, oh, George Romero's, the Romero documentary won Best Documentary that year for the Fangoria Chainsaw Awards. And it would be just really cool for Brandon, man, because he worked really hard on that, and he totally fucking deserves it. Brandon's such a good dude. Such a good dude. I had him on the show during the roundtable a couple months, well, I guess it was a little over a month ago, I guess. Had him on the show then. I'd love to get him back on sometime soon to continue to, talk to him about Romero, Resident Evil, whatever the hell he wants to talk about. But he's a good dude. I mean, I talked to him at Living Dead Weekend too. I mean, just nicest, sweetest, sweetheart of a guy, and just an ambitious dude. And I really look up to that. And I really I like ambitious people like that. That just because there's a million reasons in the world to not do something. Like you can talk yourself out of doing something so much easier than talking yourself into doing something because you can come up with every excuse in the world. It's like, people will make fun of me, or nobody's gonna like it, or they're gonna think that I screwed up. It's not any good. You can come up with a million reasons not to do anything. But the fact that he fucking just said, no, I'm fucking doing this. This is what I'm doing. I'm making this movie. And he pulled it off as well as he did is something to be commended, award or no award. But I think the award would be pretty fucking cool. So yeah, I think you got until midnight tonight. Fangoria.com/vote. Go throw your vote to Brandon. Let's hope it comes through and, we can make that shit happen for him. So, but real quick, before we do that, little word.
You never know.
Money, money, money.
Jeff, what's up, my buddy? $5 super chat. Jeff down is what's up, man? Says, hey, Michael and everyone in the chat. I spoke to Lori on Facebook about the new 4K. He was very excited and put up a post about its release as well. Yeah, I'm sure it is really exciting. I know Gary Clark's daughter is friends with Larry on Facebook, and I saw her posting about it too, about how she was excited because, she, loves seeing her dad in this film, So yeah, I mean, it's exciting news for everybody, especially if you're involved in it. I don't know what kind of pay. I mean, I don't know how that works. I know that Lori and Joe and Gary and some of them kind of banded together a few years back to kind of come together to try to get some kind of financial, like monetary, payback for it, I guess, with all the new releases and stuff. So they've kind of been, going back and forth. But I'd love to see them kind of, get a little scratch off the back end of this if something comes out and it does end up selling big. Kind of like you kind of expect it to be kind of a big seller. It's a very popular title, especially now and with a 4K release, with the the negative popping up. I think it's going to be huge. I mean, we see what's going on with Night 90, the 4K for Night of the Living Dead. Like right now, I mean, I just looked the other day, actually. It's pretty damn cool that I looked at on Amazon right now. The 4K for Night of the Living Dead was number one. I'm trying to remember what it was. It was number one in the world, I guess, because it's Amazon. But number one right now on Amazon in the horror section. And I think number two, I think it may have been number one at one point, but the last time I checked a couple days ago, it was number two in just the overall 4K Blu-ray category. So, I mean, that's just the pre-sale. So, that's pretty freaking exciting if you're a Night 90 fan. I think it's going to be, I think people are going to shit themselves when they finally get that. But good to see you, man. Thank you very much, Jeff. Is it? Yeah. Hopefully it clears itself up here in just a second. Bonnie said that's Sid Barrett founding member people. Oh, okay, gotcha. It's smaller on my screen, so it's kind of hard to see, but okay, let me zoom in on that a little bit. Okay, yeah, I think I can see that. It's just sad because and I hate that it's this way, but when I think of Sid Barrett, man, I just kind of think of him in the '70s after he been kicked out of Pink Floyd and kind of what he looked like then. I don't know why, but that's just kind of how I always, when I think of Sid, that's the first thing that's what I picture him as. So, which is unfortunate because I mean he had pretty rough there for a while, which is why they had to kick him out, I guess. But let's see. There's Matt Landrum. What's going on, man? Hope you're doing well. Go check out Matt's page. Drone of the Dead dropped the other day a video for Day of the Dead locations. Matt was just down in the Fort Myers area getting some footage of the like the opening sequence in Day of the Dead and where the the helicopter lands, all that area out there. Pretty cool stuff. So go check it out at droneofthedead.com. I shared it on my community post too, so you can find it there as well. But really, really cool stuff that Matt's doing over there. So go check him out for sure. We got Zombie Historian. What's going on, Zombie Historian? Good to see you, my man. Hope you're doing all right. Coming to us all the way down in the where Day is was based out of Florida. But good to see you, man. Hope you're doing all right. Um, John says, thank you. I'm just done for now. I'm still looking and have other leads, but nothing to share. So I'm still looking, but hoping I can get more leads. Well, I figured you're, like I said, like, even if it's officially come to an end or whatnot, I'm sure you're always going to be just for no other reason, just out of just curiosity in your own information, trying to find out more and more information about these things. Says John says I actually got off the phone earlier with an actress from Jack's Wife / The Crazies. Always digging who an actress from Jack's Wife and The Crazies. I'm trying to think who that would be. Because that's the sad thing about The Crazies. It just seems like there's so many. So there's not many people left from The Crazies. It seems like, but I guess if you're really digging deep, you can probably start finding a lot of these secondary like background characters and stuff like that in these films. I'm trying to think who would have been in Jack's Wife and The Crazies at the same time. I'm sure there were a couple of people, but they're no longer with us. I don't know if you'd be on the phone with them, but that's pretty cool, man. That's really interesting. Since says audio started choppy, but still a bit choppy. Maybe web hogs in the house. I don't know, man. I don't know if it's this microphone or if it's StreamYard. I don't know. It's just it never ends, never ends. And I tested it before I even came on, so bear with me, and hopefully we can all get through this together. I appreciate it. PMC says Day is the only Romero zombie movie where a living character doesn't die, get bitten, and come back to life. They were eaten badly instead. Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead's creepiest scenes had resurrection. That's true. That is true. Even Logan, like Frankenstein, when he gets shot, you never see him come back. So, yeah, I've actually never thought of that, but yeah, that's totally true. Unless you want to count Nicotero's head, maybe. That's all I can think of though is Nicotero's head on the table because it's animated, sort of, even though it's severed. Yeah, I don't know. My Lunatique 99, what's going on? Says, oh hi, let's get it on. Doing chores, but watching along. Hope everyone is doing well. Hope you're doing well and have fun with those chores. It's always good to get chores done and make things happen. I tried to mow the yard today. It's been raining so much lately that the yard's all grown up. It looks like a freaking jungle, and it's too wet to mow. So. And it's freaking hot as fuck outside. Very cool. Yeah, everybody go vote. Everybody go vote for Brandon's doc. Absolutely. Uncle Ron says, after that doc, all I wanted was to see the movie he didn't make more. Yeah. Yeah. That would be a topic. That'd be a perfect topic to get Brandon on, actually, to talk about is the big, what if George had made Resident Evil, what that would have meant for George's career and the Resident Evil franchise as a whole. It's not a bad idea. Yeah. Yeah, John, the $1 Million Man, the MIDI Super Nintendo theme. You got it. That's it. Money, money, money. Uncle Ron says, so question, please tell me I'm not losing my mind. Was there a Day of the Dead comic book that was written that focused on people who heard Miguel and Sarah but didn't get out of their hiding place? I don't know. You may be losing your mind. There may be. I'm not a big comic guy. Even like the Romero stuff, like the Land of the Dead series or Romero's, what was it, Empire of the Dead or something like that. Even that I never really followed or really cared much about. So I'm not a big comic guy. So there may be somewhere out there, but not that I know of. I've never heard of anything like that. The money fanfare sounds like Canon Film action music. Yeah, that's what I'm going for. Since says I thought they found the day inner positive, not the negative. Yeah, I mean that may be the negative, or is it an inner positive, or is it something else completely, which may or may not be the case. But we'll talk about that here in just a second. Let me finish this chat. We got Stezio. What's going on, man? This evening all driving but listening. Well, hopefully I'll keep you awake. while you're driving. I won't put you to sleep. Okay, very good. Yeah, sometimes it starts out really shitty, and then like as the stream goes on, it kind of clears up. I've noticed that going back and listening, and I want to drive my head through the wall every time. 'Cause I'm just like, Jesus Christ, like what do I got to do here? Um, it's a low budget, man. It's like a Romero film, low budget, and it's a small crew here, so we're working out the kinks as we go. I don't have the budgets that some YouTube channels have. Uh, Paul, what's going on, brother? It's, Paul Sinstrom. There's Paul Farber says hi. What's going on, Paul? Good to see you. Steven says that's one of my regrets about Day of the Dead. Logan should have risen and been walking with Bub at the end of the movie. The student becomes the teacher. That would be perfect. That'd be pretty poetic, actually. So yeah. I always would have loved to have seen that, but you know, would it have been a little too hokey, maybe? But you gotta wonder what the hell happened with Bub after that movie. Like if there was a direct sequel that just followed Bub around, it'd be kind of interesting. But I don't know if I could do that for a whole feature. But Larry, what's going on, brother? This is WGON TV says Joetta McClain was in Season in the Crazies. That's right. Was that who it was, John? Because she was at wasn't she at a Living Dead weekend a few years back, if I remember correctly? And I missed out on that one. I would have loved to have gotten some of her signatures on some stuff. Yeah. Is that who it was, John? Guess not. John says Joetta was in the Crazies? Where? Let's see. Yeah, really, Sam. Dude, I got to blow around here to get a good network connection. And I've switched. I've changed fucking internet service providers, ISP. I've changed. I've gone over. I've tried a different thing. Right now I'm using something called Speedify that I downloaded that's supposed to help. I don't know. I can't. Just can't fucking tell. Larry says Joetta had her scene cut out. She told me she was nude in the Crazies. Okay. Well, why the hell was that cut out? Yeah, Larry said we had her as a guest. I got her to come out at Living Dead Week at Evan City 2019. I thought I remembered that, yeah. Steven says Bub the comic miniseries. Well, they did on this old Arrow Blu-ray release. It's a UK release from quite a few years ago. What year was this? It doesn't say. I want to say it's been almost 2010, 15 years ago. Jesus Christ. But it actually does come with a comic book that follows Bub. It's like it's a prequel. It's the story of Bub, basically, as who he was as a human before he went. Like I guess he was a dad. I don't know, man. It's pretty cool. I've read through it a couple times, but yeah, it's included on that Arrow, the window box Arrow Blu-ray from over in the UK. So that's the only thing I really have ever heard of, but there may be something else out there. John says maybe that was cut out, but that wasn't who I talked to. I'm 100% sure I know who the nude was in the Crazies that you actually see. Okay. Is that who you talk to? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you work with what you got, Fisher. That's right. Our equipment is hopelessly inadequate. That's what I feel like. John said also Joetta's name doesn't appear in the handwritten casting sheets I've seen. Doesn't mean it didn't happen, but I haven't seen anything like that. Okay, interesting. Okay. Let's get to the bottom of this for the end of the night, guys. Was Joetta McClain actually in the Crazies? But, all right. But yeah, I guess the big news that everybody wants to talk about, and go ahead and get into it. So, I guess we'll start at the beginning. So for years, Scream Factory ended up putting out the special edition Blu-ray in 2013. This is the second Blu-ray release of Day of the Dead in the United States after the Anchor Bay Blu-ray. I'm just doing the history of Day of the Dead on Blu-ray here. So yeah, so the Anchor Bay Blu-ray came out like 2007, 8, somewhere around there. This is 2013. Scream Factory. It's a fantastic edition. If you guys don't own it, I highly recommend picking it up. It's got the World's End documentary that Felcher put together for it. Talked about before, the audio commentary. Some of the stuff that's included on the original Anchor Bay release. And a few other new things I can't remember off the top of my head. But so this came out in 2013. Holy shit. Stukas. You definitely deserve it.
You never know.
You never know. Thank you very much, my man. How fucking cool is that? $50 super chat from Stukas. Or Grant. I'm gonna call you Grant for this one. You deserve it. Grant says, turns out I couldn't see the super chat thing on my phone. Had to use my PC. Cheers, friends. Life is short. Thank you very much, man. That is so fucking cool of you. I appreciate that. You didn't have to do that, man, but I really do appreciate that. Always good to have you in here, and always good to see you, man. Well, I'm off now. I didn't expect that. I'm blushing. Look at me. Look at me. Thank you very much, Stukas. But yeah, all right. What the fuck was I talking about? Maybe he's telling me I need to go buy a microphone. We'll just do that. But yeah, this came out like 2013, and over the years we've seen Scream Factory do 4K reissues for almost everything that they've ever put out. They recently did the Creep Show. They recently did Monkey Shines. And for some reason, people have always asked, like, why are they not doing a 4K of Day of the Dead? Because they knew that Scream Factory had the rights. They'd done Blu-ray. So why haven't we gotten a 4K of Day of the Dead? So it turns out, for all these years, the actual original camera elements, the original elements for Day of the Dead, the camera negative, whatever you want to call it, has been missing. Nobody's known where it's at. Nobody's known where it's been. There's been rumors. I've heard people say, oh, it was found in South America. It was found here, it's found there. But it never, it was just rumors. Never turned out to be true. So for years, that's why there's been no 4K. Not just in the U.S., but anywhere. Overseas, Japan, doesn't matter. Until recently, Friday, actually, Scream Factory put out the announcement that what we thought that they meant by it was the original camera negative has been found. They posted, it has been found. I put up the actual post of it on my community page if you want to go look at it, but it's been found. 4K restoration coming soon, and it shows two pictures of two pieces of film, two frames of film, that we all assumed was from the original camera negative. So immediately everybody was like, holy shit, we're getting 4K of Day of the Dead. They found the camera negative. I mean, more so than anything, 4K is going to be great, but just the fact that they know where the camera negative is actually at, and it has been found, is fantastic news, not just for Scream Factory, but just for any other company that wants to do a 4K restoration of Day of the Dead anytime in the future, foreign or domestic. So big news. Everything was everybody was buzzing about it. Everybody was talking about it. And then looking at it on Facebook, Larry actually posted about it. Actually posted the original thing, the original post from Scream Factory and the Living Dead Weekend Facebook group. And reading through some of the comments and stuff, of course, I mean, there was quite a few comments. There was a comment from a guy named Craig Farr, who I'm not too familiar with, but I see his name all the time. He's always posting in these groups, and seems like a very knowledgeable fucking guy. So Craig says, I really hope they get the coloring right and framing right this time. I know the audio issues are supposedly baked into the master. It gets a fair pass, but their OG blue was really off. So just pointing out some of the things he hopes to be corrected. Larry responds with, and I haven't noticed this, 'cause I haven't been to the actual website yet, but Larry responds with they would be they would be creating a new master, so hopefully with to the they have access to the original audio too, solving these problems. But it's being reported on Blu-ray.com, the forum, that they posted an image of an interpositive, not a negative. So the actual photos that Scream Factory posted in that original post were actually of an interpositive as opposed to the original camera negative. Now this is getting into some kind of technical shit when it comes to like film restoration and stuff. And to be honest, I'm not the biggest wealth of knowledge when it comes to an interpositive versus a camera negative. I know a camera negative is like the original negative that they strike, and interpositive is taken from the negative. But where the real differences lie between those two, I wouldn't be the person to really talk about that or really get into it. He also says this is the element that was used previously, and they may still only have access to the screwed up audio. So I would hope that that's not the case, that maybe they actually have found the negative, or why would Scream Factory put out a post like that saying it has been found, when anybody that is into physical media and is into these films and into these labels and whatnot, like a lot of you guys are, why would they post that if it wasn't the actual original camera negative that they had found that has been talked about being missing for all these years? Now, there was another post on that same thread there. Let me see if I can find it real quick, from Leaf Yonker, who runs, I think, in charge, I think, Red Band Releasing, who's in charge, who did the Dawn of the Dead releases in the theater here recently, works with Rubenstein a lot, and is actually currently in charge of the new run of Day of the Dead in theaters for the 40th anniversary this year. And he actually commented, said, "I've been told from a credible source." So you would think like somebody like Leaf would probably know some credible sources. I mean, he's kind of among everything. It says, "I've been told from a credible source that apparently it's a CRI instead of the negative, as it is widely being reported, but that's still excellent news." So I didn't know what the fuck a CRI was, so I had to do a little digging, a little research myself. So I Googled what a CRI is. So I'm educating myself so I know more about what's going on with Day of the Dead, which is what I've always done. So a CRI, in the context of movie restoration, CRI refers to a color reversal intermediate, a type of film stock used in the past for creating duplicate negatives in a single step, rather than the traditional two-step process, interpositive/internegative. While CRIs were once used to streamline duplication, they are no longer in production and are known for being difficult to work with due to inconsistencies in color and potential for non-standard prints. So that doesn't sound too positive. They're no longer in use, and they're known for difficult to work with and inconsistencies in color, and doesn't sound like it's like the best shit to use. But like I said, I'm a novice when it comes to this stuff, so I'm doing this research, as I'm finding out about it. But either way, I mean, it's going to be something different. Hopefully something better than what we've got. Now, this Blu-ray looks really good for what it is, but the question's always been, what would it look like completely restored from the original camera negative? But let me pull up the article here, and we'll actually look at exactly what Scream Factory released and what they're saying about it. Share screen. Flip that around there. There we go. It's a little better. So this is from InsidePulse.com. Joe Corey is the guy in there. And I'm using this, but pretty much every release is pretty much the same, whether you go to Bloody Disgusting or Fangoria. I'm using this page because it has less pop-ups all over the place. I was trying to look at Bloody Disgusting and Fangoria earlier, but it was just like pop-ups all over the damn screen, so I was like, fuck it, I'm going to use this one. Day of the Dead original film elements recovered for upcoming 4K release. We're only a day away from the anniversary of Day of the Dead's theatrical release, and the news has hit that the original film elements have been uncovered. George A. Romero's third entry in this Dead series has risen in status over the decades. Recently, it found new fans when it ran on TV's House of Svengoolie. I didn't know that. It's pretty cool. Even more will be able to enjoy the movie about humanity surviving in a time when the dead rise up with the upcoming 4K transfer. Here's the press release from Scream Factory, so that's what I was kind of looking for here. Um, a lot of yeah, these are the images that were released from Scream Factory that are, were assumed to be the original camera negatives, but it's being reported that it might be the inner positive or or whatnot. And here it is, right here. You see inner positive of Day of the Dead, courtesy of Scream Factory. So interesting. Los Angeles Scream Factory celebrating the 40th anniversary of the release of George Romero's Day of the Dead with auspicious news. After decades of being buried, the dead have risen, and soon fans will witness Romero's masterpiece like never before. After years of arduous searching and 12 years since the studio's Blu-ray release, Scream Factory and Shout Studios, a radial entertainment company, I've never heard of that, but are thrilled to announce that the original film elements for Day of the Dead have been found. Details on a brand new Scream Factory 4K UHD restoration will be coming soon. So they're not specifically saying your original camera negative has been found of Day of the Dead. So that interesting choice of words there. This long-awaited discovery marks an exciting new chapter in the film's legacy, just in time for its milestone anniversary. Jeff Rowland, production and manager of video production at Shout, said, "I was ecstatic after finally locating it and can't wait to begin the restoration process so this all-time classic can finally be presented in all of its gory glory. Gory glory. Gory glory, hallelujah. I would like to acknowledge the following people who helped along the way: Jessica Ronderos and Chad Wiley of Deluxe, Steve Johnson, Ashley Franks McGill, and Jeffrey Flam of Duplicate. I don't know any of these people. Lionsgate and Photochem. So it is interesting. You wonder where they found, where they found this at. That's an interesting story to me. That's what I'm curious to find out. But yeah, so they don't specifically say they found the camera. And does it matter to most people? Probably not. I mean, if they found some of the original elements and some really good material to work with, I think that's all that matters. I think it's going to turn out all right. And I think it's going to look pretty good. So, but what are you guys thinking? Are you guys excited for, most importantly, like, are you guys excited for a Scream Factory 4K release of this film? And the possibilities of there possibly being some overseas releases. I know I've heard that Second Sight actually owns the rights to Day of the Dead overseas. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I've heard. So there's now the possibility of a new release from Second Sight, which would be amazing. If we could get, pulling down, knocking everything down. It's a big motherfucker. But if we could get a Day of the Dead release like this Dawn of the Dead box set, I might. I mean, I would say wait for that, especially if you have a region free player. Because the thing with Scream Factory is they are known for, reissuing a lot of their titles in 4K, a lot of the ones that are blue. But it's basically there's nothing new added to them in terms of features or commentaries or anything like that. It's usually they just kind of port over everything that was on the Blu-ray to the new 4K, pretty much. And that would suck if they did that with Day of the Dead. I would love to see some new features, some new commentaries. There hasn't been a new commentary for Day of the Dead since probably the Arrow UK version, with the commentary with the effects guys, Greg and those guys. And there's room for some new documentary. I would love a documentary or something, or like a featurette covering, how the elements were found, the whole process that took, where they ended up, finding the shit. I would love to see some new features on that. With Scream Factory in charge of it and doing a 4K, I would hope they would do something special with this one just because of the whole, lost negative aspect of it. But I'm also kind of concerned that possibly, Scream Factory is they're just going to reissue it, put some of the features that were on the Blu-ray, and then now we got a 4K of Day of the Dead. And if that's the case, I mean, knowing me, I mean, I'll probably still buy it. But I would still, you're going to $35-$40 on a Scream Factory 4K, but I would still hold out. Like, if you're not insane, like I am, hold out for like a Second Sight, or like I would love like somebody like a Synapse to get a hold of it, like a just to treat it like a piece of art, which Scream Factory does a good job with restorations. I was pretty impressed with their Creepshow restoration, and they just recently did Land of the Dead, Monkey Shines. Do a lot of Romero stuff, and they do a good job. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, just the bonus feature aspect and adding anything new to the release kind of worries me when it's in the hands of Scream Factory. But what do you guys say in the chat? I see quite a few guys chiming in on this one. So now's your time to sound off and correct any inconsistencies, corrections with what I'm saying here. But let's see, where the hell was I? Hey, there's the man. Speak of the man himself, Brandon Salisbury. What's going on, brother? Says, good evening, everyone. I'm excited for the new 4K. Hoping they put the work into do a new color grade. Yeah, and just going back to the audio elements of it too, because the audio's always kind of been a little when it comes to data. I mean, hell, even going back to the Anchor Bay release when they added there was somehow, I don't know how the hell this happens, but there's like little edits from like the TV version where instead of John saying shit, I could do that even if all this wasn't going on, he says right. Like how did that get in there? Like so the audio for Day has always been kind of in question. So it would be great to go back if there's actually, you go back to the original audio source and do a whole new mix on that as well. But good to see you, my man. Trying to get folks over to Fan Group for midnight tonight to shoot some votes your way, man, because we appreciate what you do. You deserve it, and we hope you get it. So, Larry says I contributed most of the material in the galleries on the Scream Factory edition of Day. There are even pictures of me on that disc. So there you go. Larry worked on this sucker. There's pictures of Larry on this fucking disc. So there you go. That's pretty fucking cool. And I'm sure they'll probably include a lot of that stuff on the 4K. So do you get a second payday for that, Larry, or how does that work? I'm curious. Brandon says the Scream Factory release is really good. I always laugh when I see people I know on these releases. Hey, I know that guy. Yeah. Well, that's how I knew Larry before I actually ever met Larry. I knew of Larry just from him being, because the Between Night and Dawn box set, like there's a lot of Larry on that. Like I remember seeing Larry's name on shit. I think Night Riders, I think, is where, if I remember correctly. Did you contribute anything for Night Riders? I'm pretty sure, but I knew Larry's name for years before I actually knew Larry. Paul says, you said the negative was found in the wampum mine, and nobody convinced me that. Can convince me that's not true. That's what I'm going to. I'm just gonna assume that that's where it was. It was down here with the negative for all your favorite movies. It was down there. John was telling us the entire time. He's like, man, you know what they got down here? They got the books and the records of all the top 100 companies. They got the defense budget down here, and they got the negative for all your favorite movies. So I don't give a shit. John was telling us the entire time, and we were just like, eh. So it was down in that mine. That's where it was. You can't convince me otherwise. I'm with you. John says Craig is part of Zolo World. That's right. That's where I've heard that name. Okay. The company doing the Night of the Living Dead figures. There you go. I don't think I've ever met him though. I don't know him, but like I said, I've seen that name all over, and I forgot all about I see him always posting stuff about the Zolo World stuff. So that's really freaking cool. Jeff says, yeah, I ordered those figures. Can't wait to get them. I think Will did too. I ended up passing on them, but I think Will has them pre-ordered as well. So maybe I'll get them on here and we'll have him show them off for everybody. Robert saying Bloody Disgusting said it was the original negative that they found. Okay, well, conflicting reports. John's saying the original camera negative is what the camera shoots, but all the colors are reversed. Black looks white, etc. And interpositive, I believe, is the next gen that flips the backwards color to what it actually looks like. Okay. It's like I said, I'm a novice about this stuff. I don't know interpositive, internegative, negative, whatnot, but I do know that the original camera negative is usually the one that you prefer that these companies go back to do a restoration from the ground up. You're going to get the best quality from that. Is my understanding. Jeff says, does anyone know about the day figures that are supposed to come out? The pre-order was like a year ago. I feel like it's been a while. I haven't heard anything about when they are shipping out or what's the deal with those. I'd have to ask Will about that if he's gotten any kind of notifications or anything on when those are going to ship. Larry says the interpositive was lost too, so showing the IP frames would mean that they found that most likely. That's what I assumed too, because I knew that like all of that. Because I mean, even on the Blu-ray, like usually you'll see on the Blu-ray it's like taken from restored from the original interpositive or restored from the original camera negative or restored from something. This one just says high definition transfer. So that's all this was. It was just an upgrade to what we'd already had. So yeah, I assumed the interpositive and all that was lost too, but I just when they posted it has been found, I feel like everybody that's their brain immediately goes to, oh, the camera negative's been found, like the original source material. Matt says, I would have assumed that Scream Factory would have come out to clarify that by now, since there's been enough chatter about it. I'm still hoping that it's the original negative. I would hope so too, but I mean, it's Scream Factory, and they're not known as Scheme Factory for nothing. So they may just say, hey, it's the anniversary of Day of the Dead. Let's throw this out there, spread the news, and get people all excited. And it's not quite without saying that it's not what it is, leading people down that path, basically. Paul says, entirely possible Scream Factory posted the pic of a 35mm reel simply because it would look more pleasing for social media purposes. Yeah, and it kind of gets the point. I mean, I used it for the thumbnail for this stream, so... So it's that's a good point too. I mean, it could just be something and it's not the actual thing, it just looked better for promotional purposes. Yeah, I agree. Michelle says, I'm just happy we're getting another edition. Just take my money. Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, whether it's Scream Factory or whoever, I mean, it looks like it's gonna be Scream Factory, but I'll definitely day one purchase for me is a new 4K edition of Day of the Dead. But again, I would love some new stuff, or at least port over some of the stuff that's on the Arrow Blu-ray from 15 years ago to this version that a lot of people in the U.S. haven't seen, like that commentary track with Nicotero and the effects guys. There's a documentary on here called Joe of the Dead, which is like a little hour-long kind of interview, in-depth interview with Joe Pilato that's super interesting, and I think people would love to see here. And there's another little bonus feature with Joe Pilato on here too. I mean, just there's stuff to be added that a lot of people haven't seen here in the United States. I just hope that they do kind of put a little extra work into this one and kind of give us something a little different, other than just taking pretty much this release, but instead of it being a Blu-ray, making it a 4K, which is kind of what Scream Factory normally does. Sarah's research. Yeah, they were actually on Dead Pit Friday night. They were doing a live watch along of Day of the Dead, and Stuntman Mark was actually talking about, Sarah's what her research was about. Her trying to find a cure, trying to find something to save the world, pretty much. And my whole thing has always been, it's like there's no, like, her research is pointless. There's no, whatever she's doing is pointless because there is no cure for death. Like, that's irreversible. Where Logan, I feel like Logan had it more figured out, to an extent. Logan had pretty much become reserved to the fact that it was the end of the world and this is just the new normal. This is just our life now. And he'd given into that. Like, okay, this is the world I'm living in. This is who I am, and we got to make the best of it. So let's train these fucking things and let's figure them out. So maybe we can live with them peacefully. So maybe to me, Logan kind of had that all figured out, whereas Sarah was kind of clinging to a world that no longer existed. Yeah, Jeff says 100% agree with Michelle. Yeah, give me anything. I mean, shit. A 4K is gonna be great. Like I said, I'll buy it, but. To me, it's just another excuse to get some new stuff out there. Like, I would love a new commentary track. Give me a commentary track with Gornick and you could do so because, like I said, we haven't had a new commentary track recorded here in the U.S. since the Anchor Bay DVD with George and Lori and Pat Booba and Tom. I think it was the four on that one. Give me another commentary with Roger Avery too for why not? John says Jim would know, but I think the camera negative they have for Night has the credit sequence burned in one shot. They're not sure why. Could be how this version is. Waiting to hear confirmation. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah, I agree with that, Jeff. They should make a documentary about that and add it to the 4K. Yeah, I mean, just finding it, like how, what work, who had it, like where was it, like that's what I'm interested in. I'd love to know more about that. Um, yes, Michelle, a second sight 4K box set. I would love, I would love them to get a hold of Night and do a big, release, big box set release like this for Night too. Um, because I mean, with John doing shit, I mean, there's so much more that's been discovered that that 8 millimeter um, color footage, that behind the scenes footage that John has that's recently been discovered for Night of the Living Dead. Like, put that on something. Fuck it, just do Criterion release Night of the Living Dead again, but put that footage on there, and I'll buy it all over again. I don't care. So yeah, I mean, a second sight 4K, that's like best case scenario that we can hope for, and I think it looks pretty reasonable that might be the case coming soon. So, um, yeah, me too. Yeah, Scream Factory and Shop. I mean, that's anything day, dawn, night. Yeah, I'll buy it. Just take my money, give it to me. Jeff says I'm going to end up getting multiples just like I did in the past, from beta to VHS to DVD and so forth. Lori said she would do a new commentary. They just need to call her. Yeah, get Lori, Terry, and Jarlath together to do a commentary. They get along well. I mean, that would be interesting. It'd be a fun commentary to hear them go back and watch it. But again, I would love, like, from a technical aspect, because I would love to hear Gornick's recollection of that time, because I never knew it until I read Lee Carr's Making of Day of the Dead book, which, if you guys haven't read that, I highly recommend checking that book out. You can find it for fairly reasonable price now on eBay, but to find out that Gornick and George were not getting along, I wouldn't say not getting along, but they weren't exactly on the same page anymore. They'd kind of started to crack a little bit there, their relationship, and and George's relationship with Rubenstein at the time, and where Rubenstein was wanting to take Laurel, George wasn't really on board for. Like, there was a lot of butting heads going on behind the scenes of Day of the Dead. I'd love to hear more about that from some of these guys, because I think that would be an interesting bonus feature or commentary or whatever. Matt says, I'm excited for any new release of Day we can get. Yeah, I would hope that even if this is an inner positive and not the original negative, that it will still be a clean upgrade. I mean, an inner positive is basically what they strike from the camera negative, so it's like one generation above. It's as good as you can get without going back to the original source material. So it's definitely got to be an upgrade either way. Brandon says, got to jump off here for a bit, but I'll be back on. Always enjoy the show. One of the things I look forward to each week. I really appreciate all of you. Well, man, I appreciate you always being in here, man. It's always good to hear from you. And like I said, I got to get you on again here soon. I'd love to get you on one-on-one, and whenever you're free, man, I'd love to get you back on. Larry says, I won't get any money if they use any of my materials. I don't get paid anything the first time. Didn't get anything the first time in 2013, and yes, I contributed to the Night Riders disc too. That's what I think that's where I first saw your name when I first got Night Riders, and I was looking through the bonus feature, and I remember seeing Lawrence DeVincent, because you have an interesting name. DeVincent is kind of a badass last name, so it's instantly like, oh, that jumps out at you. It's instantly memorable. But yeah, that kind of sucks, man. You gotta get a little bit of this, and some money would be nice too. Rest in peace, Norm. Steven says, I'm actually very pleased with the Blu-ray, but hopefully the 4K will not only be an upgrade in picture and sound, but hopefully some great extras as well. Yeah, fully agree with that. And I know there's the thought that's like, oh, Jesus Christ, how much more commentaries or bonus features can you put on these things? Like, how much more is there to say about Dawn of the Dead, or how much more is there to say about Day of the Dead? Like, John is a perfect example of a guy that's like, oh, there's so much more to talk about. Like, talk to John for, an hour, and you'll find out, it's like, oh shit, I knew nothing about this movie. Like, hearing John talk about Night of the Living Dead and like all this shit he's found out and like who these people are and what happened here, there's so much more information to be out there, and there's a dedicated group of folks like us that will, pay money just to find out something new, about our favorite movies. As Villa once said, and it's one of my favorite quotes I've heard in a while, honestly. Is that we strive for all this information and all this knowledge because it's as close as we'll ever get to actually being on set. And that's like the dream of every, whatever movie, just whatever your favorite movie. If your favorite movie, Star Wars, your dream is to be there on set of the Millennium Falcon when they're shooting Star Wars. So, yeah. John says Craig was at the Living Dead weekend helping the Image 10 table, so I'm sure you've seen him. I'm sure I've seen him, but I've just never, I don't think I've ever talked to him. I don't think I've ever had any interaction with him. But yeah, that totally makes sense because Zolo World was at Living Dead weekend with all the right next to all the night guys. Sion Kelly, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but how are you? Good to see you. Says the only thing I can say to contribute is that I used to work with Tasso. He's a great dude. Oh wow, really? Used to work with Tasso. Where did you work with Tasso at? That's interesting. That's really cool. I'm glad you were able to hop in here. Good to see you. Let me know more about that. I'm curious. Jeff said, yeah, I hope too. I want all the bells and whistles. Absolutely. Give me all the bells and all the whistles. And a few horns, if you want to throw that in there too. What the hell? The death of death, so corny. Yeah, isn't that from Diary of the Dead? But I mean, it's true. I mean, it is kind of it is a very corny name, but I mean, it's kind of what happens. It's like dying ceases to be. Like you dying isn't a thing that happens anymore because you die and you come back. But yeah, kind of a corny name. Larry says it would be incredible if Stream Factory included the 35mm open matte version a day. Yeah, that would. That is actually really. I think I did. That was what I did the commentary for on Halloween night. Actually, was the 35mm. They should definitely throw that on there too because that looks really freaking cool. Kind of like what they what the Italians did with Dawn of the Dead. They included the open matte Dawn of the Dead on the Italian release, and it's been on some other releases, but I think it was on that Italian box set originally, that Dawn of the Dead in 4K. Put it on there as is. It was scanned in 5K. Yeah, it looks great. Like it is one of the best looking versions of Day of the Dead I think I've ever seen. I mean, you can tell it's, there's some cracking and some popping and stuff, but I mean, it's, looks beautiful. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Criterion offered more for night. Yeah, I feel like Criterion probably has quite a bit of money to play with when it comes to, outbidding someone like Second Sight. Because Second Sight, I mean, even when Criterion got the rights to night, Second Sight was still pretty. They weren't what they are now. I don't know that they weren't. They've been a big deal over in the UK or something like that, but like not in the US, they were not near. And I think this Dawn of the Dead release is kind of what put Second Sight on the map here in the US. So, makes total sense. See, Larry says Gornick was interviewed extensively on Eric Kent's old Profondo Cinema podcast about his difficult time on day, and I always thought it was sad to hear about all that stuff. Yeah, in fact, I'll need to look that up because I need to go back and look at that because I remember Eric used to do that, and I remember he used to talk about it on Dead Pit. Back in the day, so I have to look that up. But yeah, I remember finding that out in the book too. I was like, yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense. It was the last thing that they ever worked on together. So, and Gornick would go on to do Creepshow too. So, I'd love to get him like as a bonus feature talking about all that stuff for sure. It was a rough listen. Yeah, because you always assume, because like when I talked to Gornick, like when I first met Gornick, I remember telling him, I was like, dude, you were George's eyes. Like, that's what you'll always be. It's like George had a vision, and George, it's like you just saw things kind of the way that George did, and you were his eyes. Like, you guys were so on the same page for so long, and it was a beautiful relationship that they had. So finding out that, the way it all ended, that there were some contentious feelings between the two was kind of like, wow, I didn't want to hear that. Didn't want to know that. Larry says Gornick also talked about his difficult time on Creepshow 2 on that same show. Yeah, I'd be interested in hearing that too, because I mean that's I'm sure Felsher has talked to Gornick about that for that upcoming Creepshow 2 documentary, Second Helpings. Um, so that's what I'm really looking forward to too. That documentary, finding out more about Creepshow 2 and hearing from guys like Gornick about what it was like, you know, his first time directing. Um, John says, "Thanks, Larry. I'm going to look for that. You reminded me of the WGN podcast, and the Dubinsky interview was incredible. Yeah, that Dubinsky interview. I remember listening to that while I was outside, like mowing and shit. During COVID, probably, and that was like 2.5, 3 hours long, and I was just like eating it up. It was like that's when I first just kind of fell in love with Tom Dubinsky and just like, oh, I want to hear more from him. Like, please give me more." Uh, Okay, Cyan. There we go. That's a beautiful, beautiful name. We worked at a Renaissance fair. He is the professional jouster. That's right. That's right. That's what he. That's he took Night Riders and kind of made that his life. I thought that was pretty freaking cool, but very cool. You say he jousts as Sir Ewan, same character from Night Riders. I would love to see that sometime. The it's like a Renaissance festival or something, isn't it? Um, I don't know. I'd love to check that out sometime. Um, and Cyan saying he is an amazingly kind and humble man. I've met Tasso once. I've only met Tasso once. He was super cool, very relaxed, like very just chill, just but yeah, he by all accounts just seems like the coolest dude. Um, and John says it's so cool that he is you and the Invincible. That's right. Side note: wanted Night Riders yesterday, and it gets better every time I see it. Or watched Night Riders yesterday; it gets better every time I see it. Yeah, I agree. And that also brings up the whole the original camera negative and the original elements for Night Riders. Like there has no like Shout Factory did a Night Riders release as well on Blu-ray, and this was maybe even before Day of the Dead in 2013. When did this come out? It's been quite a while. But anyway, I'm surprised there hasn't been a 4K reissue of Night Riders before, but it's the again same deal with Day of the Dead. The elements are missing, so you kind of wonder if like they're able to find the Day of the Dead elements, are the Night Riders elements not too far behind. That would be awesome. That's one that I think needs a 4K restoration is Night Riders. Because it looks good. The Blu-ray looks good, but there's still aspects of it that you would be like, man, if this got a real 4K treatment, like it would look beautiful. Like it would just pop. Well, yeah, love Night Riders. I want to do something with Night Riders soon here on the channel. That's one movie I haven't talked about enough, I feel like. But maybe I don't know, do something with Night Rider. And it's summer. It's a perfect summer movie because it takes place mostly outside. And, I don't know. That would be some point. I don't know. That's right, Michelle. Night Rider's your second favorite Romero. Yeah, I mean it's up there for me. It's top 5, I would say. Which speaking of, I mean, we were talking about it on the Wednesday stream. What my top 10 Romero films are. Like the top 5 are pretty easy, but after that, like I was thinking about it, I was like, man, I might need to get into some like scientific fucking algebraic breakdown of this and try to figure out what is the rest of my list here. Grande, what's going on, brother? Grande's Graveyard. Everybody go check out Grande's Graveyard. Always stream every Thursday. The man's you can set your watch by him every Thursday. Does live streaming. Fucking knowledgeable, hilarious dude. One of my best buds. Always love talking to Grande. I need to get you back on here soon, man. I know I think we talked about next time I do the ranking the Romero posters. We do a part 2 of that. I'd love to get you on for something like that. But good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Cyan says, Sir Ewan, the Earl of Essex. Actually, there you go. The Earl of Essex. Earl of Essex. I can't talk tonight, guys. I'm a little dry mouth. Everybody's saying hi to Grande. John says in Knight Rider sees the Invincible. And, yes, Michelle, it really is his best work, in my opinion. There you go. Is it Tasso's best work or Romero? Are you saying that, John? Are you saying that Knight Riders is Romero's best film? Are you making that statement right now? Good question here from Paul. Paul says, "Is that new Creepshow 2 documentary going to be on the 4K release?" It's not. I can say that because Arrow is coming out here soon. I think September. It's not too far away, but there's going to be the Creepshow 2 4K release from Arrow coming out, and that the new documentary is not going to be included on that. I've actually heard Felsher himself say that it's going to be its own separate individual release, kind of like Felsher did with the original Just Desserts, the documentary on the first Creepshow. It's going to be its own individual release from Red Shirt Pictures. So the Creepshow 2 documentary will be a separate thing, and I think that's next year, if I'm not mistaken. But good question, though, because it would make total sense. Science says he's a founding member of the Hanlon Lee's Action Theater. You can find his schedule there. Very cool. Yeah, I remember. I've always heard that that Tasso ended up kind of going into that, and I've heard his brother Chris mention it on Facebook a couple of times, and I've always been aware of that, but I didn't know where they traveled or how far they went, or I think North Carolina I think is in that area. I think the last time I saw that they were performing, doing something. So. Jeff says there's a bit of that cool stuff on the Fangoria Scream Grates on Tom Savini. Okay. Todd Bond. What's going on, brother? Says rumor has it a 3-hour plus cut of Martin has been found. Yes, that rumor is true. It's been a little bit since that news came out. When was that? It's been a few years now. But yeah, the print had been found in a barn somewhere. Basically, and it was confirmed by Gornick to be the print, and it went up for auction, and it ended up being purchased by a very wealthy effects artist, Mr. Nicotero, and he gave it to the archive in Pittsburgh, the Romero archive, and it's been digitized, but there's no plans for it. I don't know if we're ever going to see it or not, or what's going to happen with it, because the actual rights of the film are still with Richard Rubenstein, and so. But yes, that is true. There is a black and white 3-hour. I don't know. It goes back and forth. Some say it's like 2.5 hours. Some say it's 3 hours. I've heard people even say there's like a 4-hour cut out there, which I think George's very first cut of Martin was like 4 hours, but his first actual cut, like the 4-hour cut, is just basically him putting together everything that they shot, just putting it together. And then his first cut was the 2.5-hour black and white cut on 16mm. So, but that was always George's preferred version of Martin. He always used to talk about, oh, I wish I knew where that black and white cut was, because that's the version of Martin that I love and I want everybody. And I think Gornick was the same way. He's like, I wish we could find that version, And here it is, but who knows if we'll ever see it. So, but good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Rick, the North Going Llama. What's up, Rick? Hope you're doing well. Hello and good evening, all. Good evening, Rick. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Larry says Tasso owns and runs the West Virginia Renaissance Festival. It always opens every year the same weekend, Living Dead weekend in June. It's on his property. There you go. So it's West Virginia, not North Carolina. That's right. Somewhere over in that area. Yeah, I mean, I guess so, Jeff. Jim, yeah, Jeff. Could anyone buy tickets to that? Yeah, I think so. I wouldn't see why not. Granny Santa booked my flight, buddy. I'll see you in October. Awesome. That's fucking cool, man. I look forward to that. Glad you're finally coming back out for another one. That's gonna be really cool, man. I look forward to seeing you. And we gotta get you to Braddock. So we're gonna get a bunch of people together. That's my goal in October. Is we're gonna get a bunch of people together, and I'm gonna take them all to. We're all gonna go to Braddock, and we're all just gonna walk the streets of Braddock in a big group and scare the shit out of everybody. Be like, ooh, what the fuck are these people doing here? There you go. So anyone can go to it. It's open every June on weekends. There you go. Todd says, when I had a very brief chat with George in 1991, he said Knight Riders was his most personal film. Yeah. I mean, if you watch Knight Riders, it's basically George's story of George is the Ed Harris character. He's King Billy, and he's trying to keep this, hippie dream alive, basically. And I feel like that's what George felt like around that time. He could feel the growth and people kind of starting to, after the success of Dawn of the Dead, and he could feel the growth coming and bigger things on the horizon. But George always said, I've always just wanted to stay and play at the dollar window, the dollar table or whatnot. Um, George he wanted to stay independent and wanted to continue doing this close knit community thing as long as he could, but he could feel it slipping from. So yeah, I mean, Night Riders is totally the story of George, and I've always said, for any wrestling fans out there, that Night Riders is a great wrestling movie as well, great pro wrestling movie because it totally tells the story of the pro wrestling landscape during the territory days in the 60s and the 70s, and all of a sudden the uprising of Vince McMahon coming and buying up all the talent and stuff. Like it's a total pro wrestling movie too. I don't care. John says it's Romero's best film in his opinion. I'm about 100% positive I said that when you asked me that one time. Well, I just want to make it clear. I remember you saying. I feel like I remember you saying that, but I just want to make it clear. But yeah, I mean you're spot on. It's one that I can't really argue with because it is really well made and like Todd said, it's a very personal film and it really comes through in the film itself. Oh, Robert, you would love it. You would love it. Come on. John says the Martin cut is approximately 150 minutes. So yeah, that's 150 minutes, 2.5 hours. So give it to me. Give it to me. I'd love to see that. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, Synth. Yeah, barns are the best place for safe store. And I heard from Gornick that it was found in Berea, Kentucky, which is not too far from where I'm at. And the weather in Kentucky, I mean, it gets hot. It gets fucking hot. And I don't know what that does for the the condition of the film, but I wouldn't guess it would be something good. So the fact that it's still watchable, I guess, is kind of a small miracle. Science says Night Riders has been my favorite film since I was a child, never going to change. Tusso used to perform all over the country. He signed my copy of Night Riders a decade ago. That's awesome. And again, that's one movie that I feel like really gets overlooked by a lot of, maybe not a lot of Romero fans, but a lot of horror fans. Which makes sense. It's not a horror movie, but typically when you have somebody like a Wes Craven or a John Carpenter or a George Romero, like they're horror icons because of what they did in the horror genre. So you kind of want to go out of your way to see Starman, or you want to go out of your way to see something like that. And that's not a horror film, but it's made by one of the greatest horror directors of all time. But a lot of people have just never seen Night Riders, and I was kind of one of those. Like when I first discovered George, like when I was younger, like when I was a teenager. And people used to, oh, you need to see Creepshow. Oh, you need to see Day of the Dead. You need to see fucking whatever. I'd go to the video store and I'd find anything. It's like George Romero, directed by George Romero. I had to watch it. But Night Riders was always one that I was just like, it's not a horror movie and nobody really talks about it. And there's not a lot of fanfare to it. And I'll never, I'll get around to it one day. And it was kind of like the last Romero film I remember watching. But when I watched it, I just fell in love with it. I was like, it was one of those that I went back and rewatched again. Like, as soon as it was over, I watched it again. I was blown away by it. So, John says it also has male frontal nudity. Wonder if it's Amplis or the guy with Sarah Venable. I would guess it was probably fucking Levitsky, because he was a porn actor. The guy with Sarah Venable in the chase scene, like he was a porn actor before Martin. And I remember George talking about, him trying to convince George to do the scene completely nude, the whole scene, like, and George just like, nah, it's hey Al, it's not that kind of movie, all right, hey, let's put it in your pants. I would guess it was probably him. I don't know, man. That may be a question for Amplis. Ask him, did you do some full frontal nudity for Martin? I would guess it was probably Levitsky, since I've heard the story that he was pushing for it anyway. Yeah. We all want it one day. And I've actually seen Leaf mention Leaf Yonker earlier. I've seen him kind of. It seems like he's kind of promoting that a little bit. And of course, Leaf, for those of you who don't know, is kind of in charge of working with Richard Rubenstein to release, Dawn back in theaters for the last few years, and is now in charge of releasing Day of the Dead back into theaters. And I've seen him on Facebook a few times, kind of pushing the idea that, we need to get that version of Martin out there for people to see. Kind of promoting it a little bit. I wonder if he's trying to go, garner up a little excitement or a little interest in it, so he can kind of show it to Rubenstein and say, "Hey, like, there is a demand for this. Like, maybe we should do something with this." Just because he does have Richard's ear. He's one of the few people on this planet who Rubenstein listens to, and Rubenstein kind of respects, and so. That would be pretty fucking cool if we could get some. It doesn't have to be like a wide release or anything like that, but give me a screening and I will fly, drive, whatever. Like, give me a Pittsburgh screening, I'll be there. Like, no question. Jeff says, is it just in black and white or mixed? It's just black and white because the film itself, George shot the film originally with the intentions of it being in black and white. They ended up going with colors because it was, black and white was looked at, it's like, oh, nobody's going to watch it. It's the 70s, man. Everything's in color, flashy disco. Nobody wanted black and white at that point. But George wanted it to be in black and white originally, which is why when you watch Martin, sometimes some of the shots and some of the lighting is a little hot. It's a little bright. Like, there's some very white kind of, but if you watch it in black and white, like, it looks right, like it makes sense. But yeah, so it's all in black and white, the whole thing. Rick says, hey, I saw the trailer for the upcoming movie 28 years later. It looked pretty awesome. It's already out, buddy. The trailer, I mean, it's already in theaters. It's been in theaters for a while, and I did a review of that not too long ago. Unless you're talking about the new one that's coming out apparently in 28 weeks, because they've already made sequels for it. So, Cyan says, I have to get to bed. Maybe I'll return with some tidbits and stories another time. Absolutely, anytime. That would be awesome. Awesome having you in here. Good to hear from you. Thank you, Cyan. Very cool. Robert says, I told you, Mike, it's BS that they would take the time to digitize the film but not release it to the public. I thought that was the whole point of movies, was that people could watch them. Yeah, you would think. I'm kind of with you on that, Robert. It is kind of bullshit. But again, it's Rubenstein. It's but at the same time, we don't really know if it is 100% Rubenstein saying, or I don't. Maybe somebody wants to correct me or tell me otherwise, but it's not. Maybe it's not strictly Rubenstein saying no. Like, we're not doing anything with this. It cannot be released. Nobody can see this. Although I have heard that he has restricted some people from seeing it. But there also could just be, I don't know, Suze or the Garf or somebody, no, maybe not the Garf, but the archive or somebody saying like, hey, let's, maybe we'll just keep it here for now, and then maybe someday down the road do something with it. But I don't know. I don't know what the story is with that, but we all just assume that it's Rubenstein saying, no, it cannot be out there. So, but I if I'm wrong, correct me, but I think that's what it is. Yeah, that's a good idea, Paul. Got to get Tony Booba in on that Braddock. Yeah, we need Tony to kind of lead us through the streets. We can pretend like we're protesting or something. He can be there to film it. I don't know what we'd be protesting, but we'll come up with something. Zombie Historian says, a certain actor in Martin told me he was denied the screening that found the version of the film. Yeah, that's kind of what I heard too. John Amplis, I guess, is who you're talking about. I have heard that Amplis was originally invited for a screening of it to watch it, because I've known there are a couple of people who have seen it. I'm guessing, I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing Nicotera's probably seen it. But I have heard that there are a couple other people who have seen it. But Amplis was denied. Like, they apparently Rubenstein didn't allow Amplis to see the film for whatever reason. I don't fucking know why. But yeah, I've heard that too, which makes no sense. Um, yeah, yeah, that's John's. I think I remember hearing it from John first. True, I was told that as well. Disgusting. Yeah, I don't understand why. I don't know what the beef is there to let anybody fucking see it. I mean, come on, like it's not if you're not if you can just go to the archive and just watch it. Like nobody's making any money off of it. For educational purposes. Like I don't know. I'm sure there's a way that probably get around Rubenstein, but I don't think they really want to put in the time or the effort or the money to fight Rubenstein on it. So, but I don't know. Todd says, has anyone heard anything else about his daughter's upcoming movie? What is it? I was gonna say something else. Queens of the Damned is no, not Queen of the Damned. What is that? Queen of the Dead or Queens of the Dead or one of those. Yeah, we've talked about that a little bit here in the past. I don't know too much about it. I know Michelle worked on it for like a day or two. I think she told me she was actually worked on it. And I think she may have been like a zombie or something in it. But yeah, I don't know too much about it. I know it's been screening. I think it just played. I forget what the festival was, but it just screened somewhere, and I haven't heard anything or read any reviews on it. Honestly, it doesn't sound like something that would interest me personally. I mean, I'll check it out. I'll watch it. You know, it's a Tina Romero zombie film. I'm curious, and I know there's going to be some cameos in it from some certain people from George's films that I'm curious to see. I'll give it a shot, but just the description, the sound of it, I'm just kind of like, I don't know. It sounds a little, doesn't sound like my cup of tea, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Yeah, I don't get it either, Jeff. Boggles my mind that films like that would be in a barn. Yeah, but I mean, I guess the story is, I don't know if this has changed, but the story was it was George and Rubenstein were taking that print around to try. I've heard two different versions. They took the print to show it to people to garner, to kind of show people what they do so they can raise some money to film. I think the Night Riders, I think, is what they were trying to raise a little money for. But I've also heard that they were showing it because they wanted to use the land as well. Either way, it was taken somewhere to be shown to some people, and they left it there. And for whatever reason, they never went back to get it, or they didn't think anything of it, or it would just slip their mind, or whatever it was. Um, but yeah, it's a weird story. Yeah, maybe the most gory, horrific scene in any Romero film is the pizza scene with the cheese, the melting cheese on the tits, and not not Patricia Tallman's tits either, but yeah, it's pretty grotesque. Rick says I need to watch Martin. I have seen the posters, even the video case at video rental stores back in the day, but never got around to watching it. What are you waiting for? Come on, man. You gotta fuck it. 28 days later or 28 years later or whatever. You gotta see Martin, man. Which I totally get that. Martin's one of those films that's not readily available. It's not like they used to play it all the time on TV or anything, and it's not one that's in mass production all through. It's not like Halloween or something like that, where you see a copy of it in every store. It's one of those films that over time is had a few releases, but go out of print and are kind of hard to find after a while. So it's totally understandable. Robert says Night Riders is great. I thought I would hate it. You recommended it to me, Mike. So thanks for that. Absolutely. And yeah, don't. Hey, nobody bats 1,000 around here. I also told you to watch Martin. You didn't like Martin, so. But yeah, Night Riders. I mean, if you're a fan of movies, like if you're just a strictly horror fan and you just want blood and guts, which I don't know if those people actually exist or if they're just a figment of my imagination or something like that, but I feel like those people exist. Um, that's cracking up another beer here. They might not get it. They might not like it. Like I said, not everything's everybody's cup of tea. But I think if you love movies and you like just a good, if you like good movies, I mean, I think you'll appreciate and enjoy Night Riders. But um, yeah, Queens of the Dead. I couldn't spit that out a minute ago. Um, Queen of the Damned. I remember that movie. That was one of the most disappointing movies I remember watching when I was younger. That was so pumped for. I was like, that sounds fucking awesome. It's got Aaliyah in it, man. And then I watched it and I was like, Jesus, this is not good. John says, Jeff, it may have been the only print of that version that existed. It was shown in a theater in New Jersey for a few days before it was changed to the current version. That could be the cut they were showing. That could be, yeah. remember hearing. What did I see? I feel like I remember seeing maybe a flyer or something for one of those. I don't know if you posted it or where I remember seeing it, but I feel like I remember seeing a flyer for one of the original screenings of Martin that would have been that 2.5 hour black and white cut. Um, I don't know. It's interesting to me. It intrigues me. Um, Rick says, Night of the Living Dead, my next favorite from that era is Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. That's Nick Catero's favorite non-Romero zombie film, so you're in good company there. Um, that's a good one, too. Early. I think it was, what, 71? So just a couple of years after Night. Very ahead of its time. Bob Clark is a very underrated filmmaker, all around. Um, Granny says, when do you think Martin will be available to view uncut at the university? University. I can't read tonight, guys. I'm tired or something, I guess. Several years. It's hard to say because, I mean, it comes down to Rubenstein. I'll say this. I think, and like we've said before, we don't want to wish ill on anybody, but I think once Rubenstein is gone, I think that will be the floodgate. I hope the floodgates don't open to where you get a new release of Dawn every year, kind of like they do with Halloween or Army of Darkness or something like that, where it's just flooded the market with all this shit. But we do deserve more. Like there should be more out there than what there is. And I think maybe after that would be when we would finally see something happen with that Martin cut, but who knows? Paul says, really looking forward to Queen of the Dead, as well as the new one Sue's working on. The legacy continues. What's Sue's working on? I know that, are you talking about Twilight of the Dead? I know that one's, been talks of that being in production forever. We've been talking about it for, it seems like the past couple of years, any news that we get. But it's just like, oh, a little bit of news and then just silence for months at a time. So I don't know what the hell's going on with Twilight of the Dead, but again, I'll check them both out. For fuck's sake, I watched that Festival of the Living Dead shit. So if I'll sit through that, like, that's a pretty low bar. It's a that's a awful movie. Woody Allen successfully used black and white, so did Scorsese. Yeah, I wonder if that mindset, because I mean, at that time you could use black and white for more indie drama films, I guess. But I wonder if at that time, horror, exploitation type of films, I wonder if it was looked at as like, we got to see the color of the blood now type of thing. I don't know, but Todd says I've watched Martin with color off. Awesome. Yeah, I've done that too. I did when I got the 4K that Second Sight put out. That's one of the first things I did was I checked to see what it looked like in black and white. It looks great. Maybe it's Rubenstein full frontal before his business trip. I don't think I can't picture Rubenstein having fucking sex, let alone just having his dick out in front of a camera. It's a straight-laced, stiff upper lip kind of guy. I don't know. I don't think so. But if it is, I'll pay extra to see that version, just out of morbid curiosity. Revival House, what's going on, man? Says I watched the Bruiser 4K a while back and was disappointed it didn't have George's music video of the Misfits Scream. That's the main reason to hold on to that old DVD copy. Yeah, I've actually seen a few of the VHS copies of that on eBay recently, of just the Romero music video for Scream. There may be, I mean, we're still waiting on a 4K of Bruiser for the US, so maybe it's, but I don't know who owns what now at this point. Like, who owns that music video and who owns, as time has gone on, things kind of get confusing in terms of who owns what. Jeff says, Paul Suze Romero's making a film. I didn't know that. I'm looking forward to that as well. All this news is awesome. Yeah. Finding out news as we're on here. Breaking news as we go. John says, I don't understand why he has to be contacted about it. They digitized it. They need to get his approval to play the file. How would he even know? It's a good question, which is why I say, like, we always assume that it's Rubenstein that's kind of keeping all this from happening, keeping anybody from seeing it, which seems to be true to an extent. But is there also other reasons that we're not aware of why, it's not even being allowed to be viewed at the archive? As far as I know, maybe like I said, maybe that'll change eventually. Maybe they're still in the process of digitizing it or something. I don't know, but it does seem to be like there's something else going on here, something else at play. Todd says, with all the current love of Romero, do you think Rubenstein would want to? You'd think Rubenstein would. Yeah, I mean that's what we've always thought. It's like, but Rubenstein's he's a. I mean, you can't argue with his success. I mean, he's a sharp businessman, and thank God that he is the way he is because he's got George, helped George for years get things made, and he was kind of what George needed on the business end of everything. And he's just just a stubborn. I don't know. He has his way and what he wants and what he envisions out of something in terms of like if I'm giving if I'm selling you the rights to Dawn of the Dead, like this needs to happen, this needs to happen, this needs to happen, it needs to have this, and you can't include this, and he has all this, and he'll just keep coming up with it until people are just saying fuck it, like it's not worth it. And he wants a lot of money for this stuff too. I've heard like he wants six figures, like $500,000 or something like that, to license out the rights for Dawn and Martin, and he won't license them out separately. They have to be a package deal. If you buy one, you have to buy the other. I don't know. I've heard all kinds of things from Rubenstein, but I find him a very fascinating guy, and I'd love to know more about him. I'd love to hear more from him, but he's just not that kind of guy. Was late to the party. Did anyone figure out who has the original camera negative today? We're not sure. We all assumed that it was the original camera negative, but it's looking like it might be the inner positive. But that was also lost, so maybe, I mean, it technically has been found, but I don't think anybody knows for sure yet. I haven't heard anything for certain. We'll just say at least Scream Factory hasn't come out directly and said, we have found the original camera negative, and we're doing a 4K restoration. They haven't come out flat out and say that yet, so it could just be an inner positive, it could be an original, it could be, CRI, which is what Yonkers said. So who knows? We don't know. But some original elements have been found, and there's a 4K restoration coming soon from that. That's pretty much all we know at this point. Yeah, Todd says, no, it's the inner positive. No one knows, which kind of sucks and is unfortunate. I mean, if it is the inner positive, but that would be cool. It'd be a great upgrade, and it'll look. I'm sure it'll be totally fine. But I just want the comfort. And just the solace in knowing that we know where the original camera negative is, and it is in a secure area where it can be preserved for years to come. I just want to know where it's at. Like, kind of the same deal with the Martin print, and a lot of the stuff's been lost to time. It's like, I would just love to know where it's at. Who has it? It's in good hands. It's not going anywhere. That's mostly what I care about, but... yeah, children shouldn't play with dead things rocks. There you go. Don't worry, Mike, I'll give Martin another chance. Give it another shot. Give it one more shot. It ain't gonna hurt nothing. It's only 90 minutes long, man. Yeah, I'd give it another shot. Go open-minded. Just take it in for it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. Like I said, it's not for everybody. Michelle says, look for Matt Blasey and I in the background of Queens of the Dead finale. I haven't seen it yet, but hopefully will be visible in the background. Tina has asked us both to wear our Garf shirts. There you go. So keep an eye out for Michelle and Matt in the background. You'll have to point that. You'll have to like send me a screenshot or something of it, so we know what to look for when we finally do so. I don't know what the plan is for that. I don't know if it's going to be a theatrical release or if it's going to be streaming. I would guess. I don't think it's going to get a wide release. It'll probably get a limited release, and probably. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody like Shudder or something like doesn't pick it up. I wouldn't be surprised about that at all. John says it may have been posted, but not by me. It was released December 76, and it needed to be released that year for tax purposes. Dubinsky told me this on Limited Weekend 24. See, I don't remember where I saw that then, but I do remember specifically seeing a flyer for like one of the first screenings of Martin in 76, and there was a discussion. I can't remember where the hell I found it or who the hell was talking about it, but there was a discussion about would this have been one of the first screenings of that original black and white print. and it looks like it would have been, because I mean it was in New Jersey. I can't remember where in New Jersey, but unless I'm just fucking dreaming and I'm reliving a fever dream, I'm pretty sure I saw that somewhere. Um, Zombie Historian says, as controlling as Rubenstein may be, Fallows George Romero's independent cinema does a great job detailing his importance, marketing Romero. Absolutely. Uh, yeah, I mean, just simple things that he was smart enough to do to kind of boost Romero's appeal, or his marketability, I guess, of these films. Is he was the one, like, the one thing that stands out to me is, like, I never really noticed it until you look back on it, but yeah, no other, like, none of the other films between Night and Martin were marketed as, like, up until Martin, nothing was marketed as from the director of Night of the Living Dead, which is something, at that point, Night of the Living Dead was kind of a cult hit. Like, you know, it was kind of a well-known horror film, but George wasn't using that to his benefit. It's like he was trying to get away from that, you know, in doing like Vanilla or Jack's Wife or Crazies or even the amusement park. Is that it wasn't marketed as a film like most movies now. Like John Carpenter does it, like John Carpenter's Halloween, John Carpenter's Escape from New York. Romero didn't do that until Martin. You wouldn't see George A. Romero's Martin, you know, from the director of Night of the Living Dead. That all came from Rubenstein. Rubenstein was smart enough to know, it's like, okay, you directed a very cult hit, marketable, you know, it's a marketable thing to say you directed this movie. Let's use this, um, you know, to garner more interest in these films, and it worked. Because yeah, I never really noticed that until you look back, and it's like, yeah, like Crazies, Season of the Witch, none of it's just like, you know, George A. Romero's Hungry Wives. You know, it's just like a movie that, you know, a guy named George A. Romero directed. Yeah, that's a good point. It's a great book too. Um, mhm. Michelle says, so yeah, people ask about Michelle being in Queens of the Dead. Yeah, I went to New Jersey last year for the Zombie Horde all-nighter shoot, and Blasey and I were in charge of the background zombies for the night. Our names are in the credits at least. Hope we made the cut. Very, very cool. Did you get paid? That's what I want to know. I want to know what are you people getting paid on this? Um, but yeah, it's very, very, very cool. Um, as close that's you know, as which Blasie's been on some Romero shoots. He was in Land, he was in Survival. Um, that's as close as you can get to actually being on set of a Romero film. I mean, it is technically you're on set of a Romero film, but it's as close as you get to being on a George set, I guess. Um, Steven says, my favorite non-Romero zombie movie is Fulci's Zombie Flesh Eaters, aka Zombie. Despite the dubious connection to Dawn, it's still a very gory and entertaining film. I agree. It's one of my favorites as well. It's one of my all-time favorite horror movies. Um, yeah, I love Zombie. Love Felucci. That's what Will called him one time. Felucci. Who is that? Felucci? Jeff said, I believe that Richard Rubenstein recently made a comment about the Day of the Dead poster, and Larry said you could sign a lot of them if you'd come to a Living Dead weekend. Oh, really? How did I miss that? Larry, are you still in here? Can you confirm that this happened? That's interesting. But see, I've always heard that, like, for one, Rubenstein's not going to do conventions. You know, I could see him doing a Living Dead weekend. He would make a ton of money. A ton of money. Just for me alone, he would make a ton of money. But I don't think that's his. I don't think that's his bag. I couldn't see him doing something like that. Um, Robert says, I finally saw the 4K of Monkey Shines. Really like that movie. Um, yeah, I like Monkey Shines all right. Like, it's not one of my favorites. It's definitely from that period of George's work that I'm not the biggest fan of, but I do need to see the 4K still. I haven't checked out the 4K yet, so um, I'm waiting for maybe one of those Scream Factory sales when it's like half off or something like that. Um, Paul Brooks, Blasie's filmography: Land of the Dead, Survival of the Dead, and Queens of the Dead. Not bad, yeah. It's funny that's the first time uh, I talked to Blasey. He was on AOL Instant Messenger back in the day when I was like 13 years old, and he was ready to head to Toronto to go on the set of Land of the Dead to be an extra. And when I was young, I was just like, how is that even possible? How are you doing that? Um, Robert says, "You're being too nice, Mike. There's no reason why he can't let people see Romero's movies. Now he's old. He doesn't need to. He doesn't need to get rich. He's gonna die soon anyway, right?" Well, I mean that's always the art, but at the same time, it's like it's his. Whether we like it or not, it's his property to do with what what he wants. Whether so you can't, you would think like, yeah, he would see like, there's a market for physical media now that people are invested in and you can make quite a bit of money in, but and it's come close. I mean, we heard that Synapse was really close to coming to terms with on a deal with Rubenstein to do a Dawn release in the U.S. not too long ago. They came really, really close, and then right at the last moment, like Rubenstein would come in with a different stipulation, or oh, we need to change this in the contract, or I don't want this, or you have to do this, and then after a while, it was just like Synapse was just like fuck it, like it's not even worth dealing with this shit anymore. So I mean, companies have tried to negotiate with Richard and trying to do something new, but it's tough going. And I've heard like some stories about the second Sight release too, and I've heard from some people that he was kind of a pain in the ass to deal with on those, the Dawn box set and the Martin box set. So I don't know. Dawn 3D coming to theaters again, Synth. Yeah, you got to check that out, man. It was a lot of fun. I definitely prefer seeing in 2D just because I'm not a huge 3D fan. Like it fucks with my eyes. I don't have the best sight anyway, but it was cool. I mean, it was a different way to see Dawn of the Dead. And I'm down like you show Dawn of the Dead on the side of a barn at 3 a.m. and bumfuck nowhere. Like I'll be there. Take my money. I'll be there. Todd says it's my understanding that Scream Factory is using the same elements from the Blu-ray. If that's the case, then that's an issue. That's a problem. I don't think that's the case. I don't think they would intentionally mislead people like that. But then again, like I said, they are known as Scheme Factory for a reason. But I don't think that they would do something that blatantly sketchy. I just can't believe. I won't allow myself to believe that. But if that's the case, I mean, that's pretty fucked up. Since says the day negative is in a much cleaner barn somewhere. Well, let's hope so. It's in a barn somewhere, but yeah, I mean, I mentioned this earlier, Todd. Like that would be the most perfect place for it is put it in a salt mine. Like put it in one of those mines in Pennsylvania where they keep everything else. Like it's perfect temperature. It's the perfect place to store things. Makes total sense. Aaron says absolutely, man. Keep OG camera negative in a safe spot. Yeah, it's sad because you hear all the time so many of these camera negatives and the original film elements, and a lot of these films have just gone missing over the years, and nobody knows, what the hell happened to them. Which is unfortunate. I guess just a lot of people didn't see, where the technology was headed, and the idea that these things would be important someday. You could do a new restoration of it or whatnot. It's like when you hear stories of TV shows that would just like record over old episodes just to save money on tapes, and it's like you lose all the, like you hear about that a lot in like wrestling back in the day, like old wrestling shows. Like they would like Memphis Wrestling, they would record their Saturday morning show, and then after it was over, they'd rewind the tape and record the next show and put it out the next week. It was just like, and all that shit is lost unless you recorded it off TV, basically. But there's no master for it. Steven says, I understand the high price tag for Dawn, but with all due respect, Martin could use some exposure. I'm not saying he should give it away, but let it out more for some of the new generation to see it. I fully agree with that. Yeah. Martin, like Rick mentioned, never seeing Martin. It's like I totally understand, like how you haven't seen Martin. I say it all because I just kind of, it's in my sphere for years. It's my second favorite movie of all time, pretty much. But I can totally see it because it's not like one that's had a bunch of releases. It's not in mass, mass circulation or anything like that. It's never played on TV. I mean, it played on IFC back in the day a handful of times, but outside of that, it wasn't like, a USA staple like a Friday the 13th or something like that. So yeah, it could use a little exposure, but Who knows? I'm trying to figure out the enigma that is Richard Rubenstein. Okay, see, there you go. I called it right down the middle. Limited theatrical and Shutter. There you go. Perfect. That's awesome. John says, thing I just saw this week, Queens got picked up for Shutter. There you go. Okay. So that's there. Oh, is that where the original screenings? How does it? How you pronounce it? Gloucester, New Jersey, King's Theater, probably in the SS Martin book. Possibly. That may be where I've seen it. But yeah, I don't remember. I do remember seeing it though. Robert says, why is Queens of the Dead already made, but Romero's last story, Twilight of the Dead, has nothing going on, so I don't understand. Well, I mean, again, it's just, I don't know. You hear little bits and pieces about that Twilight of the Dead, and it comes and it's like, oh, casting's done. Mila Jovovich is going to star, and it's going to be this, and then all of a sudden it's just like, and they'll say like, oh, it's going to begin filming at the end of this year, and then it's like, crickets. Then all of a sudden another little bit of news will pop up, and then crickets. So I don't know if they're just playing the game that they kind of played with that Night of the Living Dead 2 thing that they were promoting a couple years back, where they're trying to garner enough interest in this thing to maybe raise a little more, like to raise some money to get it made before they actually, to just, which is a technique that, a lot of companies use now and seems to work fairly often. So, but yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard shit about it in months. So. Michelle's saying in the fall for Queens of the Dead, the release in the fall. Okay. We'll do a live watch along when it comes out. How does that sound? Todd says, has there been any news about the 9 minutes from Night of the Living Dead that was found after George's death? I don't remember hearing anything about that. 9 minutes of Night of the Living Dead that was found after George's death. John, can you chime in on that? I've never heard of anything like that. Unless you're talking about like the color behind the scenes footage, maybe? I don't know. Yeah, why not use that from the director of the Calgon story? Calgon story, well, that's a great fucking commercial. But it's interesting. I think John actually may have mentioned this, that the Calgon story actually only aired one time on actual TV before they had switched over to a new production company for the commercials, and then so that only aired one time. I thought that was pretty amazing. Larry says, I was the first person to find the ad for that 76 screening of Martin in a newspaper archive many years ago. I posted it in a bunch of places, and in my Martin group, Tony Booba has reposted it. So that's probably, there you go. That's probably where I remember seeing that then. So thank you for letting me know that I'm not completely losing my mind or just living in a dream world or something where I imagine seeing that. But yeah, so yeah, that makes total sense. Sucks to hear, Michelle. No pay for the background zombies. It's not a volunteer. Did you at least get $1 and a cookie or something like they did in Dawn? Hey, come on, you can give me $1 and a cookie. Larry says, I don't know what that means. He would make a lot, but I don't know what that means. He would make a lot, but I have no contact with him, and I don't know what he would say about the poster. You're talking about the comment from, so I guess I don't know, maybe you're mistaken somebody else, but I guess it wasn't Richard Rubenstein that commented on that. I was gonna say, like, wow, that's pretty crazy. I didn't know Rubenstein was on social media, really. I highly doubt that he is, or he really even pays attention to it. It seems like Rubenstein's kind of one of those guys that just kind of stays in his own world for the most part. Which, God bless him. If I could get rid of this thing and just escape, I would totally be down for that. Just live the simple life. Chance, what's up, brother? Chance 2D is stopping by in the house. Good to see you. Yeah, there you go. Did you at least get a sandwich and a t-shirt? Hey, it'd be worth be a collector's item at some point. Todd says, just now heard Walmart owns the mall. Yeah, we talked about that in great detail in some of the past streams and some of the past videos, so yeah. Sad news. But we've had a lot of good news here lately, so let's keep it in the realm of the good news and just say, fuck the bad news. Um, Robert says, how did Second Sight hit that sweet spot with them? A little bit of this and some money, you know. I got, they paid the price, and I guess they got it finally worked out. But I've always heard, like, I've heard from a couple other people, like a couple people, that he was kind of a pain in the ass to deal with when they were doing that 4K box set. Um, yeah, Chin saying, man, Dawn 3D was a blast last year. Yeah, it's really fun. I mean, and the 3D is actually done pretty well. You could see that Rubenstein put some real money and some real resources into it. It did turn out pretty damn good. Especially you hear 3D for a movie that's almost 50 years old at this point, that was shot like not a low budget indie horror film. You take and put it in 3D from the late 70s, but it looks pretty damn good. So if you haven't seen the 3D version, I highly recommend checking that out. Michelle says, no t-shirt, but I did get food. In the background, zombies got snacks, but since we were the liaisons between Tina and Natalie, the producer, Blasey, and I had access to the actual catering. Hey, there you go. You can't ask for more than that. You had access to catering. So asking for anything more than that is just you're just being greedy at this point. Michelle said the liaisons between Tina and Natalie in the background, zombie horde, and one of Tina's friends sent a coffee truck that showed up at like 3 a.m. So we all had free specialty coffee. Hey there. See, okay, so you got me convinced. You came out okay on that one. Steven said, I saw Martin back in the day on cable. I think I actually fell asleep during it. The only reason I watched it was because it was Romero. Yeah, I'm guessing the only place I've ever seen cable play Martin is IFC. So it may have been where you were saying. That's where I first saw it. Or actually, that's where I first recorded it. I'll say that. I recorded it onto a VHS tape when it played on IFC. But the first time I saw it, I actually rented it. I saw it at one of the local mom and pop VHS store, the video stores back in the day. Where you can get 5 movies for $5, keep them 5 days. Those places. I loved it from the first time I saw it, just because it was so. I mean, it was Romero, and I loved seeing all these familiar faces and all that. But but I've grown to just love that movie more and more over the years. The more I think about it, and the more I appreciate about it. Yeah, Robert says it sucks even in Romero's death, he still can't get his movie made. Fuck that. Yeah. Oh yeah. Todd says, I was an idiot way back when. I worked on film crews and I had a choice to work on the Night of the Living Dead remake or Carpenter's Vampires. I chose Vampires. Well, that's still pretty cool, man. That's still pretty cool. So you can't complain with that. But yeah, it would have been cool to work on that Night of the Living Dead. Which, speaking of, like I mentioned earlier, speaking of that Night of the Living Dead remake, the pre-order's been up on Amazon for like the past week or so, and for the new 4K that's coming out from Sony, the new uncut version of Night, and it was actually number 1 in horror and number 2 in 4K Blu-ray categories on Amazon right now. So I thought that was pretty fucking cool to find out. Like, that's the biggest selling item right now in all of physical media is that 4K. So that's going to be huge when it comes out in October. Actually, September. I keep saying October, but it's actually going to be coming out in September. I think it's going to be pretty popular. Oh, hold on, what we got here?
You never know.
Zombie Historian, thank you very much, my man. $10 super chat. I appreciate that, my man. It says, when I visited the Romero archive, there was a lot of terse correspondence between Romero and the producers and 21st Century Film Corporation regarding on Night 90. 21st Century had no faith in Savini. Yeah, I mean, and Savini's always talked about what a horrible experience it was for him working on Night 90, and because I think he said that George was only there for like the first day of shooting and maybe the last day of shooting, and otherwise George was off. I think he was filming Dark Half at that point, um, or maybe it was Two Evil Eyes. I can't remember. No, it would have been Dark Half. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's Tom has always talked about, like, not having the best of times working on Night 90, and 21st Century was, I think they were quickly out of business pretty much right after that was done, or shortly thereafter, maybe a couple of years after Night 90 came out. But I know Tom had issues with them. I know that Russ and Russo have talked about their issues that they had with the company, Menachem and Galam, I guess is how you pronounce that. And Russo tells that story, or they both tell the story. I mean, it's pretty fucking hilarious. As well. Like when Russ Streiner tells a story, I love listening to him talk because he's so calm and very articulate, and he's very funny. But at the same time, when he gets mad, he's very straight ahead, or not mad, but when he's telling the story of like trying to get the money from 21st Century. He's like, I walked into their office and I said, I want my fucking money that you fucking owe me, or we're not leaving, and we will sit here until you give us our money. And it's just like he's so calm and quiet. Like I would love to just somebody out because it would just be so calm and deliberate. But yeah, so many people had issues with 21st Century with that, but it's exciting that we're going to see a version that Savini appreciates, and it's the version that Savini wanted more so than what we got. So definitely looking forward to that. But thank you very much, man, for that super chat. I appreciate it. You guys are killing it tonight. Let's see, where was I? Might have missed a couple of you guys' comments here. John says George mentioned those 9 minutes incorrectly. I think Larry has a video of it. When they got the work print and pre-mix, Image 10 knows exactly how much was actually cut and where. It's about 3 minutes. So okay, there you go. So it's not 9, it's 3. So still pretty cool. Yeah, because you can see that hard cut there, the scene of Harry and Helen in the basement. We have script pages for some stuff from Tom and Judy's Sappy Talk and infamous jump cut. Yeah, you can see that jump cut there in the basement when Harry and Helen are talking, and Harry's looking this way, but then all of a sudden he's looking the other way. Since says, you mentioned Braddock. If I can't make it in October, you can join me on another late night tour of Braddock if you dare. I don't know about that, man. You got bigger balls than I do. I don't know if I would. But I mean, it can't be any worse than when me and Will went down to the old police dock location. I forget what they call that now, but it's where they shut the police dock stuff in Dawn. We went down there. It was after like the VIP party after we took Rosemary Rixie home. Like it was late. It was like 1 a.m., 2 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And we're down there and there's just like a few cars just quietly parked down there. You can see people inside them. You don't know what they're doing. They're smoking crack or fucking or what's going on in these cars. And all of a sudden you see cars drag racing up and down through there. And we're just like walking around, like looking, like trying to match up shots in the dark because it was shot at night. It's kind of cool to try to match it up at night. And we were just down there playing around at like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. So, and that was pretty creepy, to be honest with you. Hell, at one point I almost got run over. So yeah, I don't know if it could be worse than that, but fuck it, I'm down. It's time to experience Braddock at night. William, what's up, my man? Says, any new words on the October Living Dead weekend? It's October 24th through the 26th. It's Return of the Living Dead weekend. They've already announced some of the guests that will be there. I know they announced Jim Crut from Dawn of the Dead. It's going to be a Return of the Living Dead reunion. So they've announced quite a few guests from Return of the Living Dead: Tom Matthews, Miguel Nunez, and there's going to be tons more announced leading up to it. So yeah, it's October 24th through the 26th. Planning on being there. Everything goes right. So. But good to see you, man. Hope to see you again soon. Larry says, Mike, I sent you and Vulo a link to my Martin 76 screening ad post that I made in 2017. Awesome. Let me I you sent it on Facebook. I don't know if I can pull up Facebook on here. Anyway, I'll check it out and share it with you guys if you guys want to see it. I'll share it in the community page. Very cool. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't make that up. I wasn't just having a fucking brain fart and just imagining shit. Um, yeah. See, Steven says, Todd, in your defense, Vampires is an awesome movie. Did you see James Woods or Thomas Ian Griffin? Yeah, there you go. James Woods, badass actor. Robert says I can't watch 3D. It messes with my eyes. I don't even wear glasses. Yeah, I've the only movies I've ever seen in 3D in the theater, Dawn of the Dead and then Avatar. And when I came out of Avatar, I had the worst like migraine headache. I'll never forget it. Just the worst headache that I've ever had, and it lasted all night. Like I had slept through it, took fucking ibuprofen, whatever. It was awful. So yeah, after that, I was just like, I swore off 3D forever until I saw Dawn of the Dead 3D, and I was like, it's worth it. If I come out of there with a splitting headache and I, end up having a goddamn aneurysm or something, it's like, at least I saw Dawn of the Dead in 3D. It's worth it. Um, uh, 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 uh. Todd says James Woods was actually pretty cool on that show. He and Carpenter were buds. The only thing that kills me is there are two really great effects gags that weren't used. I hear that a lot about most things in the 90s, that there was a lot of stuff that ended up getting cut because, especially in the early 90s, like up until Scream, like after Scream, and they saw the success that Scream had, I feel like it kind of started letting a little more slide. But in the early 90s, yeah, they cut out. I mean, you look at like Texas Chainsaw 3, Night 90, um, they were really getting really strict on the gore and the effects at that time. So makes total sense. Because Vampires was what, 90? I think that was like 98, wasn't it? Carpenter's Vampires. Steven says, no offense, I think I'm a little older than you. I actually saw it on the old school Cinemax back before the geniuses combined it with HBO. Okay, played Cinemax back in the day. That makes sense. Old Skinemax. You were hoping it was going to be something else, weren't you? It was playing late at night on Cinemax. You were waiting for one of them, what do they used to call it, Red Shoe Diaries and shit like that. You were looking for a little spank material, and instead you got Martin. You were like, I know all about them that old school Skinemax. Robert says, I pre-ordered 990, Mike. Pretty good price. Yeah, the price was not bad. What was it? Like, it's like 40, 35, something like that. I heard people were guessing. I've heard people saying, oh, it's going to be one of those, like, $60, $70 sets. I'm like, no, this is Sony. Like, Sony's going to mass produce this shit and put it in Walmart or wherever. Like, and they're going to make a ton of money off this thing, too. Keeping it at a reasonable price like that. Since speaking of VHS, I had a tape in 1985, an SLP with Don Martin in Season of the Witch. What were some of the SLP? What were like because you put like 3 movies on there. It's 6 hours, so you could usually fit about 3 movies on those VHS tapes back in the day. What were some of you guys that you used to have back in the day for our older audience, I guess, but. I used to have one that had Document of the Dead, Martin, and Night of the Living Dead 30th Anniversary Edition. I had one that had The American Nightmare, the documentary on IFC, Dawn of the Dead, and then Night of the Living Dead. There was 3 on that one, which 2 from IFC, and then Night of the Living Dead was one I recorded off of like A&E or something at one point. It was like late at night. I don't know. I used to have some really interesting mixes of shit. Like I think I had Texas Chainsaw, Suspiria, and Tenebrae on one tape at one point. A lot of my shit I just recorded off IFC. But yeah, I don't know. That'd be a fun topic. I would love, because I still have all those old VHS tapes. I'd love to go back and look and see what all I had on what. Brandon's back. Says, what did I miss? Not much. We've just been bullshitting, talking about this Day of the Dead news. Was the camera negative actually found? Was it Was it an inner positive? Was it a CRI? Was it what actually has been found, and what actually are we going to get, and what is actually being restored in 4K? But either way, it's going to be cool to get a 4K. Scream Factory, we'll see. We'll see what they do with it. But like like we've mentioned, the rumors out there that Second Sight has the UK rights for Day of the Dead, and I just want something similar to this. Give me a giant chunky box and charge me $100 for it, and you can have it. But yeah, outside of that, it's been a little bit of everything. A little Queens of the Dead, a little Twilight of the Dead, a little Martin. Just shooting the shit. Todd says it blows my mind that those scenes haven't been used as extras in various releases. To be fair, they are beyond brutal. Yeah, that's pretty surprising. You'd think at this day and age, at this point, with all these releases and stuff, because I think didn't Scream Factory just do a Vampires release not too long ago? I think it was here fairly recently, if I remember correctly. Robert says they need to release Night 90 uncensored version on Blu-ray though. Actually, I have heard. Originally, everybody thought it was just going to be the 4K because in the original write-up, it just showed it was going to be on the 4K. But I actually have heard that the uncensored, uncut version of Night 90 will also be included on the Blu-ray as well. So there you go. Because I've heard quite a few people complain about that, to where they're saying, "Oh, why isn't it on the why is it only 4K? Why can't they do it?" But it will be on the Blu-ray as well, so you'll get it in 4K as well as Blu-ray as well. John says there's another entire scene, which is what I mean, where Helen tells Harry to go to hell. Pretty straightforward there on that one. Yeah, there you go, Brandon. Brandon confirming that. Steven says, Brandon, I did vote for you. I watched your documentary on YouTube. I think you did a magnificent job. I look forward to your future endeavors. And I also voted for Sven Gulli. There you go. But yeah, again, reiterate. I don't know. It may be too late. Yeah, I think it's already midnight on the East Coast. But good luck, Brandon, man. I hopefully you can bring it home. But like I said, if not, it doesn't matter, man. You made this documentary. You actually made this film. You envisioned it. You made it happen, and that's so much more, far more than what most people accomplish. Like I said earlier, there's a million reasons to tell yourself why you shouldn't do something, and most people listen to those reasons and listen to those voices and end up just not doing it. It takes so much more courage and so much more dedication to actually do something and actually complete a project. And that's just worth a round of applause in and of itself. So, win or lose, you're a winner in my book, sir. William says, watched Return with my wife last weekend. She hates it, but I keep trying to bring her around. The talking zombies kill it for her. Wow, that may be her. I'm trying to think if I've ever known anybody that hates Return of the Living Dead. So she's definitely dying to come again, right? She's definitely trying to get. She definitely wants to celebrate. It's interesting. I don't know if I've never actually heard. Like, I know some people love it more than others, but I've never actually heard anybody that actually hates Return of the Living Dead. So that's interesting. Is she a horror fan in general, by chance? I mean, what are her some of her favorite horror films? Is she a Dawn fan? Is she a Romero fan? That's interesting. That's an interesting take that you don't hear that a lot. You don't hear I hate Return of the Living Dead very often. Shit, I'm still a little bit behind here. Let me see. Anything else I wanted to bring up? We talked about Night 90. Yeah. I think that pretty much covers everything that we know about the upcoming Day of the Dead 4K and whether or not the negative has been found. I'm hoping we'll find a little more information about it. I'd love to get the full story about how it all came to be, how they ended up finding this thing, where it was all these years, and what actually they have actually found. So yeah, hopefully we get a little bit more information. Like I said, this news just dropped Friday, so at least we do know that there's a 4K in the works from Scream Factory. It looks like there's going to be a 4K in the works from Second Sight as well over in the UK. Will they use the same restoration? Will they use the same version? Or will they do their own separate restorations? I don't know. It'd be nice to get Gornick or somebody also involved in that as well. But we shall see. It's exciting news. We got Night 90 to look forward to here in a couple. In the physical media world, we got Night 90 to look forward to here in a couple of months. We got the Day of the Dead 4K coming out soon. Or I say soon, we don't really know when, but we know that it's coming. The one thing that I've heard from so many people over the years say, oh, that's probably never going to happen because nobody knows where that shit is. And people have looked, trust me, like people have been looking for that for quite some time. So, um, Robert says as a teenager, I remember HBO's. Yeah, Real Sex was like one that was like when I was younger, like I was just like, I don't that ain't doing it for me. I need the real like softcore, goofy shit. Real Sex was just more like a documentary or something. And it was just like, Um, oh, that's right. Red Shoe was on Showtime. I was waiting. Emmanuel. There you go. There you go. Oh, I remember both of those. Brandon, I saw a double feature of Dawn and Night 90 in the summer of 98 on Cinemax. Still have the VHS tape somewhere. It was that tape, watching it a couple of years later, that made me want to make movies. There you go. I vaguely, I feel like I've seen maybe something. Was George like, I guess kind of like a host in between that or something? It was like a double feature. Is that when he was talking? No, because that would have been a little earlier. I feel like I've seen that before somewhere. But I've seen George do some stuff with Cinemax in the past, but okay, here we go. Todd says, my Lynn Lowry story. I told her that her death scene in The Crazies was my favorite death scene in any movie. She hated it. She wanted something more dramatic. Yeah, that's one I've always heard that she wasn't the biggest, but it's memorable. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite death scenes. It's definitely memorable. It's quirky. The whole like, oh, and then just falling. It is beautifully shot. I don't. For a production like The Crazies, they get the shot of her as she's falling. The herd of sheep go running by, and it looks like something straight out of Hollywood that they would have used CGI for, like But somehow they captured that at the exact perfect moment. I don't know, but yeah, that's pretty. I didn't know she hated that scene quite so much, but it's interesting. Williams does still have the Return of the Living Dead 2 from Joe Bob on TNT. There you go. I like Return of the Living Dead 2. It's goofy. It's not great, but um, I think it gets a little too much hate, though. I mean, it's not the first one. It's not as great as the first one, but I like it all right. Um, uh-oh. Paul says, don't kick me out of the chat, but I just bought a DVD of Night of the Living Dead 30th Anniversary Edition earlier today because it had a cool... I have multiple versions of that movie, so I'm not kicking you out of the chat. Don't worry. There's aspects of it that I kind of like. There's aspects of it that are like kind of enjoyable in a weird in my weird love of Russo kind of way. Um, but yeah, I'm not gonna kick you out for that. Hell yeah, I would expect you to own it at least one version of that. I have it on VHS. I have it on DVD. Still need it. We still need a Blu-ray of it though. We need that on Blu-ray or 4K. By God, that's Vinegar Syndrome's next major project. You watch. Let's get it done. Since I had too many VHS mixes I made, all tape to tape with gold cables, so I bet they look pretty good. Then mine were rough. They were like 10, 11, 12th generation, like recording over like NASCAR race, because the progression of my life, you could see through what used to be on those tapes to what they are now. It's like when I was younger, it was like Barney and Friends, episode of Barney and Friends, and then it went to like NASCAR races, and then it was like professional wrestling. It was like WWF WrestleMania, and then over time it deteriorated into Cannibal Holocaust. So I went from Barney and Friends to Cannibal Holocaust all in the same tape. Uh, uh, Steven says, I agree. It wasn't wasn't Videodrome or Salvador, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was a watchable film. Sorry you didn't like it, Synth. I was talking about vampires. Uh, or maybe I missed something. Steven says, I love the old school BASF right hour tapes. I don't remember those. I could tape a White Sox game, a movie, and a couple of TV shows. Dude, I used to record like every episode of Monday Night Raw, every episode of SmackDown, like anything wrestling that was on TV, I fucking recorded it, and I would record over it. And yeah, those tapes are wore the fuck out. I got them stashed away on there somewhere. I might pull them out at some point. Just take a look, reminisce, go down memory lane. Robert wants to know, it's a great doc. When will it come to Blu-ray? I guess talking about the Resident Evil. Brandon said I made a post earlier. I'm proud of what we did. My father was proud of what I did. I wish he could have seen this. Yeah, he's super proud. Like I talk about that all the time with my daughter. Like me and my fiance will talk about that. Where she's a little concerned because my daughter's so into horror and so into Chucky, and she's into stuff that like 4-year-olds typically aren't. But and yes, I know people look at me and be like, "Oh, you're a horror guy, so of course you forced this on her." And I never felt like I did really. She just came upstairs one day and saw Chucky on the shelf and was like, "Hey, let's watch this." And I'm like, "Okay." I thought about it. I was like, "There's nothing horrible in it. It's not like I was like, all right, but if it gets too scary, just let me know, and I'll turn it off. We'll watch something else." And after we were done watching it, she just looked at me and she was like, "Let's do that again." I'm like, "Oh shit." But we talk about that all the time, and I'm like, it's like, okay, look, there's the opportunity, there's the chance that possibly maybe one day she will grow up to be the greatest female horror director of all time. Like, but if she ever just made something like or did anything like that, I would be just so infinitely proud of her. So I'm sure he was, man. I'm sure your dad is super proud of what you did, and I think we're all proud of you because it's a real accomplishment and a real it's a great documentary. And for Romero fans, it's something that we were all dying to have. So so yeah. I hope you pull through, man. Hope you can bring this puppy home, but oh, and talking about the Blu-ray release, Brandon said Robert was supposed to be October, but got pushed back to December. A rather well-known Blu-ray distributor is doing it. Too many October releases. Yeah, I'm sure there was a shitload coming out in October, which is probably why they are doing Night 90 in September. So, but yeah, definitely look forward to picking that up. I'm curious to see who's distributing it. Well-known Blu-ray distributor. Maybe take a wild guess here. I would I could say who I would love to put something like that out. I'd love Arrow or somebody to get a hold of that, but I don't know who'd be doing that. Scream Factory. I mean, Scream Factory would be pretty perfect for that. Or who actually? Is there a company, like a specific company that puts out most of the Resident Evil stuff? I only own the first Resident Evil on Blu-ray just for nostalgia reasons. I don't even really like that movie, but I own it. I don't own any other ones, so I don't know if they all are on the same label or if that would be something they'd be interested in picking up to. I don't know. It's exciting though. I'm looking forward to it. William says she loves the original 3 zombie movies from Romero, loves Scream and Halloween. Okay, so that's interesting then. If she's kind of down with these movies already and she doesn't like Return of the Living Dead, that's interesting. Oh, that's rough, Robert. Said I know the pain. I lost my mom the day before my wedding. God bless you. Oh man, I don't know if I could go through with that wedding. I might be like, hey, we can postpone this fucking thing. Yeah, and that's pretty rough, man. I hate to hear that. To know that. That's right, Todd. And Day of the Dead is showing in theaters until October for the 40th anniversary. See it on the big screen for a good chance. Yeah, I'm looking forward. Hopefully, it's going to play somewhere semi close to me around here. I don't know if it'll make it to Evansville or not, but if it does, I'll totally fucking be there. Um, but yeah, it's playing all the way through October, and I think if you go to the website, I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. It's Red Band Releasing is the company that's doing with Leaf. Let me go to Red Band Releasing or Google it and go to the website, and there's a list of theaters that are going to be playing it throughout the United States, state by state. And if you contact your local theater, I don't know how it actually works. If you contact your local theater and tell them you want Day of the Dead to play at that theater, like you can give them the contact information, and they can. I don't know how that all works, um, but yeah, I really because that's one Romero film I've never seen on the big screen is Day of the Dead. So love to knock that one off the bucket list. Brandon says, no, George wasn't on the double feature. It wasn't set up to be anything special. I assume Dawn for its 20th anniversary, and much have had the license for 990. Well, he did something with Cinemax. I can't remember what it was, but I have seen like the bits of it. He's in like a cemetery or something. It was like, I may have just been like I want to say it was late 90s, early 2000s era George. Can't remember, but I remember him like talking up like Creepshow and some other stuff too. I feel like so maybe it was something different, but I remember him doing some stuff with Cinemax back in the day. Yeah, there you go. VHS tape of 30th Night. Like I said, there's little bitty aspects about it that I like some of the music cues. I like it's okay, um, but it's. Jeff saying night 30th re-release will never happen. Yeah, I figured so. I figured that was the case, but so it just makes that version that you got even more collectible, Paul. Uh, so hang on to it. Since Steve and I used to love Carpenter with Disappointed Vampires, also the bad guy is the villain in the Karate Kid 3, not a good actor. Oh, what's that dude's name? He was in Cobra Kai too, here recently. Larry says, I actually have every version of Night 30th Anniversary Edition, even though I only watched it once, but you're a collector, so yeah, that's kind of how I feel. And it's one of those that, like, I have some nostalgia and fondness for, because, like I said, I used to have it on that old VHS tape, because they played it on IFC, I think, and I remember watching that, and I was like, oh, what is this, like, recently discovered footage, because I'd seen Night of the Living Dead at that point, from the, so seeing this version, I was like, oh, it's like new footage. Like some new scenes have been added. I never knew that this was a part of it, but for some reason it didn't compute with my brain that it, like, even at a young age, without actually knowing it, it didn't compute with my brain that somebody would actually go back and film new scenes to put into this movie. Like, it's just like, who would do something like that? Like, who does that? John Russo is who does that, by God. Or not just John Russo, but I love picking on John, but everybody knows I'm secretly a fan of his. Yeah, Robert. Everybody smash that like button. I'd appreciate it. I think the more likes you get, the more, don't ask me how it works, but for fuck's sake, give me the thumbs up or a thumbs down. I've had people give me thumbs down before, and it's just like, oh, okay. I'm all for free speech, but preferably a thumbs up, guys. And if you're watching for the first time, make sure subscribe if you're a Romero fan, horror fan, or just a fan of hanging out and bullshitting as we do most of the time. But hit that subscribe button. I just went over 2,200 this weekend, so I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I never expected that, so, but yeah, appreciate that, my man. T160 tapes were too thin, not durable. T120 was just right. Yeah, I don't remember a lot of T160 tapes. We always used to have the T120s. I didn't know what the hell it meant at the time, but that's what everybody had. The 8-hour tapes. Okay, so yeah, we're going back to reading earlier. Trying to catch up on all these comments, guys, and then we'll get out of here. Get ready for work in the morning. Yay! Yay! Brandon says, I can't say anything until they make the announcement. It's not Scream Factory or anything. I wish. Okay. I think Scream Factory would be a good fit for it, but either way, you got my money. I'll be buying it. Don't worry about that. There you go. Day40th.com. You can go to the website and you can see an entire listing of every theater that it's currently playing at and when and where. And so, and like I said, there's a way that you can contact your local theater and actually request them to get the print, like get a screening of it at your local theater. So um, look into that as well. Todd said, I got to see Day at my granddad's drive-in in 1985. A formative. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. It's playing at some drive-ins too. Um, I've seen so, which there's quite a few. Like drive-ins have kind of made a little bit of a resurgence over the years. Like we have one about 10, 15 minutes down the road here. Um, but yeah, they just it's. I would love to go to a drive-in and watch old movies. Like that's the nostalgia aspect of going to a drive-in, which I guess now a lot of people just go to a drive-in because you can park your car, sit outside. They got good food, and it's just kind of a hanging, a social thing, I guess, more so than actually going to a theater and sitting there watching a movie. But um, I'd love to see Day in a drive-in or any Romero film in a drive-in, really. Brandon saying, kind of waiting to hear more about Twilight of the Dead. Last info was it would start filming back in March, but seems they missed it. Haven't heard anything more. Feels like development hell. Yeah, we've been talking about that too. I forget who mentioned it earlier, but yeah, it's like they drop a bit of news, a bit of information, and then it's just silence for months after that, and you don't hear anything. So you don't know if it's actually happening or not. And like I said, I kind of get the feeling that it's maybe they're trying to do like with the announcement of Mila Jovovich is going to star in it and all that. Like maybe it's not fully financed yet. They're still trying to raise a little money to get it made. So they're trying to garner a little interest. I don't know what's going on with it, but yeah, it does seem to go, like stop and start a whole lot. It's got some talented people connected to it. Like Mila Jovovich is a known name actress. Brad Anderson has had success in the past with Session 9, and uh, he's done quite a few other films. Like he's had success as a feature filmmaker. So I mean, it's got some talent to it, but yeah, it's just like it's hot and cold, stop, start. I don't know. Larry says, "Yeah, Mike, you're right. Romero did intros on Cinemax for his films one night, late '90s, I think. They are all on YouTube. I think it's probably where I saw them because I don't remember seeing them live when they first happened. But yeah, I have seen those before, where he's in the cemetery, and I think that's where he originally refers to. Maybe not originally, but I do remember him referring because I think he was actually, if I'm not mistaken, this version I'm thinking of, he was actually introing Return of the Living Dead, and he actually refers to it as a spoof of his films because Romero was never a fan of Return. Like he always hated Return of the Living Dead. So I think that was the same time period, same thing he was doing there. Yeah, that's right. He was just in a cemetery. Brandon says the one I recorded may have been Showtime. Not sure. I haven't watched it since 2001 or so when I started getting DVDs. I know it's either Showtime or Cinemax. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever remember him doing anything with Showtime, but I do remember the Cinemax stuff for sure. Um, you missed it since the local day screening was only in one theater for one day in San Francisco 2 weeks ago. So much for celebration. Yeah, that kind of sucks. That's kind of how it was with Dawn, though, man. It was like they screened it for like a weekend, and then if you missed it, you missed it. I think a couple of theaters around here did it for like a week. I think you had a week for Dawn, but yeah. Okay, there you go, Larry, including the links to I guess the Cinemax stuff in the chat there. Um, Robert's missed this. Robert says Twilight shouldn't be in development hell. Yeah, I mean, but you never know with these things. Robert says, Brandon says Robert shouldn't be, but they've been working on it for a few years. How poetic that a final Romero studio project has issues. Feels like 1990s Romero studio. Yeah, exactly. That's spot on. Yeah, not surprising. Okay, so the return one is from another time. Okay, I do remember him. mentioning Return in a cemetery, and I was pretty sure it was one of the Cinemax ones, but I could be wrong. And since sharing the promo trailer for Day 40th, which is actually a pretty cool trailer, actually. Wish I had that queued up, I'd play it, um, but guys, it's been another fun one. I appreciate all you guys in the chat. It's been great, been fun. Great way to cap off the weekend. Getting ready to go into the work week yet again, so we're gonna have another week full of fun and frivolity. But we did get some great news this weekend. It seems like we'll be getting a little more and more good news here recently, which is much needed with the news of the mall and everything. So we definitely appreciate that, and we're looking forward to whatever comes of this day, whether it's the inner positive or the original negative or whatever the hell it is. We're getting a 4K restoration of it, and we're getting a new release soon. So that's exciting. That's good news. So definitely looking forward to all that. But yeah, I don't know. I'll be back next weekend. I might surprise you, pop up in the middle of the week. Who knows? Depending on my mood and what I'm wanting to do. But appreciate all you guys in the chat tonight. I'll give another special shout out to Grant, Zombie Historian, and Jeff for your super chats tonight. It's fucking awesome. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate that. And but yeah. So I think there was something else I wanted to mention. Oh yeah. I'm gonna be a girl dad again. Got another one on the way. So I wanted to share that news. Found out I was gonna be a girl yesterday, so yay, more estrogen, more females running around here. So it's exciting. Looking forward to that. But yeah. But outside of that, you guys, thank you very much. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Notifications, all that fun stuff. Check out shop.alfaromero.store, as you can see up here above my head. Check out some designs on there. Everything is usually always like 40% off, 30% off. It's just $16, $17 t-shirts, and you can customize them whatever color, whatever style. You can really play around in there, and it's like 100% satisfaction guarantee with TeePublic. So if you don't like it, just tell them you want something else, and they can send it to you, or they'll send you a refund. You can keep the shit anyway. So little secret there if you guys didn't know that. But yeah, check out shop.alfaromero.store. And Brandon, great seeing you as always, man. Always good to have you in here. Synth, always a pleasure, man. Hope you're doing well, and hope to see you again here in a couple of months if you can make it. If not, I'll definitely look forward to seeing you again next summer, hopefully. But be safe out there, man. Bonnie, always a pleasure. Always glad to have you in here. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week. Hope you have a great week as well. John, always a pleasure. Thanks, my man. Thanks. Yeah, I knew it was going to be a girl. Nobody in my family has boys anymore, so I really was just kind of reserved to the fact that it was going to be a girl. So, but yeah, she's due in December, I think. Or actually due in early January, but we're hoping December. So, but yeah, so y'all pray for me. Pray for me. Yeah, exactly, Synth. Another Chucky fan. I told Everly earlier, it's like, you got a lot to teach her about Chucky. She's like, oh yeah. I'm like, oh shit. Here we go. Good night, Steven. Always good to see you, my man. I appreciate you hanging out. John, cheers to you, sir. Appreciate all you do. And need to get you on soon. I know Matt mentioned doing a commentary for There's Always Vanilla. Or maybe not a commentary, but just a conversation about There's Always Vanilla at some point with you. So let's get that set up, because I'd love to dig into Vanilla at some point. Robert, I love you too, sir. Even though you're not a fan of Martin, still love and appreciate you always. Thank you, Bonnie. I appreciate it. Appreciate it, Larry. Thank you very much. Thanks, Steven. Like I said, y'all just say a prayer for me tonight. Say a prayer for me tonight, because women. But yeah, appreciate you guys as always. You guys have a great rest of the night. A great week ahead. Stay safe, stay prepared, but always stay scared.